to the emo night.
Yeah, how was
Raleigh?
that? How was that?
It was awesome. I like that whole genre of music.
Right.
So I had a great time.
That's what's up. See, I had friends go to the Day to Remember concert, and apparently people were telling me that they were like giving away tickets or something. They were like trying to promote it, so they're like, "Here."
Oh, the emo Raleigh?
Yeah,
They
were.
They were sitting. Well, because I mean, it's how big is the Ritz? Something like 1,500.
Yeah,
1,500, 2,000.
yeah. It's up there. It's up there for sure.
Like, you're not gonna get that for a local show.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. So,
Right.
I mean, everyone that goes to the Day to Remember show is probably into that genre of music.
Right.
They're probably big Cartel fans, Panic, Fall Out Boy, like so.
Yeah.
And you just hand them tickets, say show up tomorrow night.
Right. It makes sense.
Maybe you'll get 5 of them.
Right.
5 more people because who gives a fuck?
Right.
Pretty good crowd.
It looked pretty packed. It looked like a good like 700-800 people or something like that
For
the emo Raleigh. Of course, obviously Day to Remember was sold out.
It was like 200.
yeah, maybe 200.
It seemed bigger. Like picture I saw, it seemed like a lot.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah.
But at the same time,
if you hit that photo,
yeah, it also seemed like just how something like that is something you should have in like the Emerge. Like I feel like that would be.
They've done that Emerge before.
Like take 200 people in the Emerge. That's hype. That's super tight.
Oh, that's
Like, yeah.
packed.
Yeah.
That's like trying to put 200 people in the Maywood. Yeah. Like,
Oh yeah. See, those are the kind of vibes I like, having a smaller room packed, but sometimes like it's being a gear nerd. Sometimes I like to be able to show off the gear and make it sound.
Yeah.
So, and house shows, even though they're fun, you know, we're in the day and age where there's some bands that are like backtrack driven and stuff like that. So I think
Some bands. I like
most.
that.
I'm being very modest. I would say, I mean, especially in North Carolina, because North Carolina, I see like it's half and half. I've seen so many bands that are, you know, organic and genuine, and then there's some that kind of like do it straight off the bat, and then there's some bands that are like really backtrack driven.
I mean, I'm fine with backtracks. I'm fine with it if it's done right, where like you're still a band up there performing.
Right.
I'm fine with it then. Like, because we talked about doing like just like synth tracks in the back,
Right.
something to like really fill out the spots that are empty, because we're a 4-piece and
Yeah. And
there's
so with,
going to be empty spots.
Aragon, correct?
Oh no, I'm with Nick and I started a new band.
Okay.
Yeah, so Aragon is still going. They have Kyle. I don't know his last name. I can't pronounce his last name.
Right.
And I know it. Is it Garrett? I think it's Garrett.
Garrett. And then
No, is it Garrett? I can't.
Yeah,
think of
I
it.
think it is Garrett. And then they have a
Yes, I
second
can.
vocalist. They have 2 vocalists.
Oh,
now.
Gotcha.
shit, Tyler.
Is it Tyler?
I think it's
Because
Tyler.
I know
Big dude.
because I know Jake. So
Yeah,
I've
yeah,
talked to Jake
yeah,
a few
yeah.
times, and he's cool. You know, he's a pretty good drummer. So we've talked in the past, because I was going to fill in. Well, I was actually going to try out for Aragon on bass like last year, and that didn't work out. You know, here's another thing with Aragon. And it's funny, I was listening to the Discoveries podcast yesterday,
Oh, yeah.
just kind of like listening what it would be like, you know.
Oh, dude, it's so chill.
Yeah, right?
It's so chill doing
Yeah.
this.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think we talked about weed a lot.
Yeah. So one of the things I was thinking about is that last year I was speaking to the guys in Aragon about there was a show that we were going to have some venue in Chapel Hill.
Oh, you
And
probably
it was,
talking to me.
yeah.
Yeah, I was. Yeah.
Oh, that was sad, because I was talking through the band page, I believe. So I guess it was
It
you.
was probably.
Yeah, so basically what was going on is that apparently the show fell through with Discoveries. My previous band, Pathio, was in Aragon. So I was kind of stoked on it because I love Discoveries. And I definitely seen you guys a couple times and I liked it.
Yeah, I think that was the last minute show where it just like we just
Yeah.
couldn't get it together.
Yeah, just something about the flyer and promoter.
It was just. I think we just couldn't get the show put together, basically.
Yeah, that would have been fun.
I mean,
That would have been fun. Just a small. I mean, I like the Chapel Hill vibe as a whole.
I haven't
anyways.
played in Chapel Hill yet, so.
The day of the Day to Remember show, I was asked about a week and a half. It's not last minute, but a week and a half compared to like a couple months.
I mean,
To fill in for a band called Illist that was opening up for Slot to Prevail that same day. So it was kind of one of those things that I love doing it and I love playing, but it was kind of like everyone I know that would listen to this is at a day to remember. It sold out. It was sold like a month before the show or something.
it was sold out in a week. I think so fast that show sold out.
I think it was ridiculous, and just like I swear it wasn't even like mid-April when it sold out or something.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, I would have to think like there's got to be somebody that would go to that show that's wanted to go to that show but should go to see Slaughter Prevail. Go have fun, because that was a fun show. But you do what you can.
Who was playing it?
It was Slaughter to Prevail, just them, one off, or them. They were doing like, I don't know what they were doing. They were kind of like doing a bunch of dates. They were just getting some like second city routes off of their Chelsea Grin tour that they had. Which, and of course, that tour did really well for them. Like they were getting a fat guarantee. I think like it was like 300, 350 a night, which is good for them, because they were up there honestly on the list. And I mean, of course, they packed out so many venues. Like they were like really close to selling out most of those venues on that tour. So they were doing like a bunch of small shows here and there, making up like out of areas. Like they did the night before in Greenville, South Carolina. So it was like 3.5, and then they came to Chapel Hill, and then they did a couple like somewhere else, and then went to Richmond. I don't know. It was really interesting.
Yeah.
So it's interesting when you see these bands. They do like these big like. I was always told from people that I talked to in the industry, they're like A route and B routes, and then you have C routes. A route is like the main cities. Like if you're, for example, like an A route would be Ritz, Blind Tiger, something like that of those stature, Fillmore, and the big cities with the big 1,000, 1,500 cap venues, and then you have the B, which is like 350 cap, 500 cap. Like that's like if we were to, if they were to do like the Maywood or the Merge or
what's Lincoln?
The Lincoln would be an A cap. Like that's
is the
You talking about the one downtown, the Lincoln
Theater? I mean, they don't play shows like that. Which I know that was it Obituary or something like that's actually coming through. Yeah, in October, which is like a metal show. Because I used to go when I was still living in Virginia. I was still time to time would come to a show with friends down here. I always like made my way down. Because for the longest time, when I was like actively in the scene in Virginia, I don't know how much you know about me, but I moved here about 2 years ago. So I spent most of my life in Richmond. So I was playing music up there.
So I moved here 3 years ago.
Oh, nice. What area? From? From?
Iowa.
Iowa, nice.
Iowa.
Is it a cool area? Because, I can only imagine
cool
Slipknot.
Is it the temperature, or is it cool as in there's a lot to do?
I can imagine with Iowa, it's probably not a lot to do, which makes sense why Slipknot got huge, because it's like they're the one band making moves in that area, and they just got...
I mean... I don't know. The story that I heard how Slipknot like got signed or whatever was some exec just like showed up at a venue one time, and there were 9 people on the stage that couldn't fit 9 people in their instruments, so they were just like jumping off the stage and going crazy. And the exec was like, "That's cool," and then just randomly walked into a bar and found them.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard different stories.
There's not a lot of venues in Iowa. So
Right. I can only imagine that. I mean, yeah, back in the 90s, it was so easy to get picked out like that. I mean, it was easier.
Yeah.
I mean, there wasn't internet, wasn't as big as a fad. It wasn't, you don't have like everyone putting their stuff on SoundCloud and YouTube and Spotify like it is now. So if you want to get heard, it's really word of mouth and the underground scene.
Also, you have to have that following before they will even...
Yeah, I mean, I can only imagine 9 people destroying a venue on a stage. You're gonna get some sort of publicity or some sort of following. Like these guys are in jumpsuits. They're burning up on stage. They're gonna destroy every stage they jump on. They can't fit on it to begin with. Like it's at the very least entertaining, So I think
to fit 9 people on like the Emerge stage.
Not happening. They'd set up the mouths on the sides. Both guitarists are like literally right next to their monitor. The vocals is right there, and Like they literally be like marching band style, like stand mouths on each side.
Well, that's what
the kit would take up half the stage.
They couldn't move, so they would just like stand like this, and they couldn't do like the antics. I think because
see, that's another thing. Like they have like 2 or 3 members that they're mainly the hype aspect of it.
Yeah,
and I think that's what makes it appealing. While the music is good and tight, it's like they need someone to represent the energy that band has. So they have people that are just that energy, and I think that's what attracting. Like, man, these guys go hard, kind of thing. Yeah, exactly. It's
whatever.
Oscar from Sesame Street did it first. just kidding. No. So yeah, thanks for allowing me to do this. I've always wanted to do something like this, and you know, I was talking to you probably know Alex Seymour, Chris Taylor's fiance. Yeah. So she was like, yeah, she like really absolutely like loves you, and you're like the grandfather. Yeah, that's super cool.
Scott's godfather.
Yeah, so that's super awesome. So I was like, you know what, why not? I'm trying to.
Guys, so.
Yeah, so I mean, Chris
is so cute.
Chris is a super talent. Unfortunately, I've caught him at the tail end of him doing music stuff. So I've always heard about him around, but I never really got to see him play. I've always heard about it and always missed it. Just my work life sucks. So it's one of those things that, you know, I knew about them and everything. Mm-hmm. So, and I also kind of wanted to get out there, kind of like sharing what I'm doing musically, because I'm new to the area. Because like in Richmond, like it's crazy how if you spend a lot of time on social.
I've got a question. Yeah. About Virginia. No, you can tell your story. I got a question.
Okay.
It's a weird one that I heard.
Okay. Well, so basically in Virginia, I always like watch different scenes of what bands will come around there, and I always. I wouldn't want to say I was like clout chasing or anything like that, but I always wanted to know what was happening. Like, what bands should I be listening to? Because that's my thing. I'm mostly on Facebook, and I'm pretty sure if you've been around me long enough, you're probably like, oh God, Robert. That's probably why you're like, when most people say, oh, I just follow you on Facebook, I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry. I like cover my face. I'm like cringe-worthy. Like, but
the opposite.
Yeah, so
I don't want to be on any social media ever.
I mean, it's unfortunately I grew up in a country town in Virginia. So I grew up, you know, I was raised on a chicken farm. So
we grew up on a farm.
So it was one of those things that we didn't have broadband. I didn't really know what internet was until I was like 13. Like literally, I don't think the closest neighbor was 2 miles away. Mm-hmm. And if I wanted to get there, I rode a horse or a bike. So if I wanted to talk to a friend, I would like literally mail them. I know that sounds super like old fashioned, but like, it's the older I've gotten, the more it's like either you keep up to some degree, maybe not the trends, but keep up what's going on in the world, or you get fallen behind and you're left like 2008. Some people are like, and honestly, I like that to a degree because there's like an OG status for that. But at the same time, it's kind of like I love doing music, and I'm going to find some way, one way or another, to do it, whether it's helping my friends market the band or record or something. I got to do it. I can't, you know, I don't think marriage is in the cards for me. I don't think girlfriends are in the cards for me. It's like, I'd rather be playing music. I feel alive doing that. So, your question, though. Virginia.
Fuck, what was it? It was, I don't know how it was phrased when I first heard it. It was something like, who was this? I don't know what show we were playing. We were playing a show with a band from Virginia, and they were basically like, yeah, no, it's like really difficult to get into venues in Virginia because everyone is like a little maybe standoffish about it.
Well, I'm going to be very careful because I don't know who will hear this, but I
25 people.
25 people. That's
in the Raleigh area.
Well, here's the thing, like, I grew up watching earlier bands. Like, I got in the scene roughly 2007, 2008. And I mean, like, I started going to local shows. And I mean, it wasn't even really Richmond. It was more like 2009 for me. 2008 was, like, going to these college towns like Liberty or Longwood in Virginia and seeing my friends' bands play. And, like, when the scene was so much fun. But it was, like, it was easy to talk to people. Yeah, I mean, that was...
Everyone was partying.
Yeah, exactly. Like, this name may be recognizable. A band called Blood the Martyrs back in the day. They were around forever, but they started in like 2006, and they were back in the day where they all had long hair like every other emo one. I mean, they weren't really emo in their music, but they were like scene. So they're playing Line 6s, and at the time, Line 6's Spider 2s did not sound good. And I remember like my first show, it was in Longwood, Farmville, Virginia area, which is like 30 minutes from where I grew up, and it's this coffee shop. and it's a place called the Mad Hatter, and you go inside of it, and it's a local spot for all the townies and all the kids going to the college. So you go in there and you just see it already, a big old belly in the ceiling, and it's like, okay, they've had a lot of shows here, and it's supposed to be like it was like a 55 cap, and it was like 110 people there. People were like on the staircase, people were downstairs, people were upstairs. It was packed. So I go up there and I pay $5, and it was back in the days where you could go, like, it was like 8 bands for $5. Like, those were the days. You go in there and it's literally, the stage is set up kind of like how Emerges, where it's like maybe 4 inches high, but there was like no sound gear. They brought their own PA, and everything sounded distorted. Vocals, keys, everything sounded distorted AF. And I just remember my friend that said, come out to the show. He looked at me, pushed me right into the pit, because he knew this was my first show. He was like, "We're Boulevard!" Push. And I just remember, like, the memory, it's dramatic as it sounds, I literally got punched like 4 times on he pushed, like, it wasn't like, you know how you go to a show and the vocalist is like, "I'm gonna push you," and it's like you go maybe a foot or 2 because you were on the, he was like, he hulked me, he like Superman me into the pit. And I don't know what was going on. It was happening so fast, because once he said that, just straight drop. It was drop A, low tune, chug. I couldn't hear a note. It was just. It was literally like you could not hear a pick attack, because it was just straight mud mush sound. And I just got punch, fell in the crowd, and like got stomped. And then and it was not like stomping you like a crew, but it was like, I just lost all footing. I was 10 feet in that crowd, and I jumped up and headbanged the rest of the night. I was like, I want this. I don't care. I want this for the rest of my life. Screw like country and bluegrass. I mean, it's cool and all, and I appreciate it, but I can only listen to that. Like, grew up in the country. You're going to go hear someone playing country. You're going to hear someone playing bluegrass, and it's cool, and I appreciate the musicianship. But it's like you sit there and you chill, and what are you going to do? Sit there and drink and get fat or something? Like, eat a bunch of and don't get me wrong, there's a time and place that everyone should sit back, relax, and eat some barbecue or listen to some music. Like, that's just, that sounds like a good 4th of July, right? Eat a bunch of food, just listen to some chill music. But then, like, when you're young, you want to be part of something hype. And I'm still want to be part of something hype 10, 12 years later. So.
I don't think it's ever going to stop.
But back to the your question, Virginia's, because of how the scene has changed, Richmond, Virginia is very cluttered, because you have one of the biggest schools, hospitals, like, combined, and then they try to put 2 colleges in the city. So imagine downtown Raleigh, like around the amphitheater, around all that. Imagine 2 hospitals and 2 colleges kind of like combined with all the living quarters. It's like very congested, because the college is just, the college is the hospital, VCU, MCV, the whole thing. So it's very congested, but also there's a lot of arts and engineering. So it's like really clustered. And that brings so many different people that are like artsy. There's a lot of art. There's a lot of good things about Richmond, but it also brings almost a diversity, and not in a good way. So 2008, 2010, the music scene, like, you'd go to see some of the biggest bands at the time, which is like this Kingdom Falls and Apparently We Can't Fly and Blood of the Martyrs and things like that. Bands like that would, you'd go to an old spot, Alley Cats, and you go see 5 local bands for $5, and the place would be packed. 350 people packed back in the day. Now that the scene has changed, a lot of it had to do with the management that kind of entered in, and kind of given a history of Richmond overall. I can't really kind of talk about the other areas. I know a little bit about the 757, the Hampton Roads, Virginia Beach area, but I know Richmond. So basically with that, there's this management company, Outer Loop Management. They had their own booking, they had their own like marketing thing called 2420. So they kind of took over some of those venues, and it just kind of changed.
Just like booking out shows.
Yeah, so
they
like
bringing in anything.
Like, yeah, they were bringing in the good stuff. They were like at the time the equivalent of Crank It Loud. Honestly, they were pretty much like I saw Fraphic Gods tour with Periphery and Textures and Contortionists. I saw all the All-Star tours, the Screamer Like You Mean It tours. They were bringing that stuff in. So it just became this thing where, like, if you want, like, you either playing Hole in the Walls around here, and there was this one spot that still remains to this day called Canal Club, where it's pretty decently easy to book out of. And then you have these bigger venues where it's like, you have to sell 50, you have to, and the guys were like, pretty strict about that. And the guy at the time, like, he would do good by people, but it was really hard, and it changed the whole vibe. When back in the day, you can literally go, I've seen $1 shows, literally 5 bands for $1.
I like they put a bucket down. It's like, just throw in whatever you want.
Yeah, and sometimes that was just the thing, like a lot of people hung out a lot, and the scene, there was a big family, there was a big party at the time, and that's what I liked about it. I literally, until I had the money to move to Richmond, I would work in Amelia, grew up in a town called Amelia, and then I would like couch hop and just whatever with friends to just go to these shows. I'd run around downtown Richmond just to, someone's playing Canal Club, Mofazi's, and Alley Cats at the time, and things like that. I was just all about just running around like an idiot, checking out who's playing what, where, when. And then when that kind of situation happened, and then they pulled out, like literally it was kind of a blow to the scene, because we just... Yes. That's what really shifted the whole scene as a whole. Because we were all used to these, and even at the time, and this may be a sour taste in certain people's mouth, where there was also a big like Christian scene. So like half of the good shows you want to see were at churches.
I mean, that time was Christian metalcore.
Yeah,
that was Christian metalcore was running the scene.
Yeah, pretty much. And that was the thing at that time. That was the big thing too. Like if you couldn't play like a 50 ticket, 75 ticket show with Out of the Presents, you're going to some bar way out of there that no one wants to go see, but that wants to see covers, or you're going to a church show where it was fun. And some of the most memorable shows were at churches. Like I went to Maryland for this one, but it was freaking Finnish People Tour with Sleeping Giant. Sound Planet opened up before they announced, literally a month before they announced they just had signed to Solid State, with Those Who Fear, Phineas, This Is Apocalypse. So that was
Phineas. How were they?
I played with them. It's the most amazing experience. Oh my god. I've seen their two bands in the metal genre that I've seen so many times, and I'm always going to see them because it's always inspirational. But it's Phineas Takes the Cake. Like, a funny story about that, talking about that whole scene. I remember one of my first shows with the band I was in back in the day called The Pray for an Afterlife, and we played this church way outside of Richmond, and it was becoming the archetype in To Speak of Wolves in 2011. And I was outside practicing, and I sucked, and I was like so nervous in my craft. And I remember this small guy walked by, and he's like, "Oh, nice Ibanez." I'm like, "Thanks." And he said, "Are you playing now?" I said, "Yeah." And he said, "I'll check you out." And we played, and we didn't really do that great. And I was like, I haven't seen that guy since. And then I watched Become an Archetype, and he's up there, and I'm like, please don't tell me you saw me. Like, I don't want you to say that you saw us play. And I was like, it was Daniel Gailey, who is the guitarist for Becoming Archetype towards the latter bunch of their records, and then now he's in Phineas. Mm-hmm. So I remember, like, I've seen Phineas a bunch of times, and I've gotten lessons from Daniel Gailey, the lead guitar player. And I was like, hey, do you remember that time? I was like, yeah, I remember that. You had a red eye, but I was like, oh God, he does remember.
I'm much better now. Yeah, I'm much better.
Yeah, because I ended up playing with him, and honestly, dude, like, there are not many bands that pull off the one guitarist thing well, because here's the thing: most bands these days that do a one band guitarist, they're very like backtrack driven.
They're backtracking the rhythm.
And and at a standard,
there are two guitarists. One of them's just a computer.
Yeah, and not even just that. I'm even speaking more like a band that has heavy synth, and that just the rhythms are basic simple stuff, while the rest of it is orchestrated. I mean, I've done it, and I kind of do it still to a degree, but you watch him and he's utterly flawless. It's kind of like he could play the set without it, but it just sounds thicker and fuller with him having it. It's like you're not really missing anything except for a thicker sound. It's not like, some bands when you hear one or two guitar players, they're like, yeah, they needed another guitar player. Not with Phineas. They do it so well, and you're just kind of like, I've seen them 14 times, and like, yeah, absolutely. I played with him once, which was one of my goals. Like, I had to see him. It was one of the most amazing shows. Like, it's one of those bands that, like, they unfortunately got big at the wrong time. Like, they were playing the OG metalcore, like War of Ages, Asley 9. They played that style of music, but they didn't get big until 2011, 2012. Yeah. So, like, that's when everyone was going away from that. So that people only and I feel like people listen to them because they're like the only band really that's doing that style of music well. Like, you know, honestly, Ashley Lang's back, and that's of course a sour taste. And they opened up, honestly or not, they were direct support. Phineas was direct support for Ashley Lang on their recent, well, yeah, I think the last tour actually, technically. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of like a fit.
You mean like 8 years ago?
Oh no, I mean, yeah, I mean, I will say this, and I will end that because I know some people can have opinions about it. The most amazing show I've ever.
They still make great music.
The most amazing show I've seen.
He may have tried to kill his wife, but they make good music.
Yeah, aside from the personalities, like that's the least I can say. Like, separate the art from the artist. Appreciate the art. The music is unbelievable, and seeing them live is like everything you could ever hope for. Oh, that's another one of the things. Like, it's one of those things that I kind of was like, I had opportunities to see them and open for them, and I never took them, and I regret it because they were a huge influence. And I was like, because I like those kind of riffs. I like riff salad. I'm just gonna be honest. I like riff salad.
Your guitars.
Yeah, so I mean, a lot of people like guitars to do chugs and stuff like that, but I love, you know.
You have huge fingers.
Yeah,
it makes your hand. I'm like,
yeah, it makes it hard. I have a theory about guitars with hands.
Like,
yeah,
your fingers specifically are very long.
This is an interesting turn of events.
Hey, you know what?
Hey,
I know because like I can't reach the 7th string on there. Like,
yeah,
I can't reach that A string.
Yeah, so like it is. I have a theory about that because, you know, there's obviously, like, again, we can go into, like, one of my favorite guitar players, Paul Gilbert. You know, 80s shredder. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. Yeah. That guy, you see his fingers are, like 2-3 inches longer than mine, but they're skinny.
Yeah.
So he sits there, and I remember the reason I wanted to play guitar is I got Ibanez Jumpstart, like, one of the basic packages, and one of the DVDs was a Racer X. He's like, this is scarified. I'm like, oh, God, this is so 80s. But then you just see Paul Gilbert effortlessly with his long, like 8-inch long fingers doing arpeggios for days, and I'm like, holy crap.
I physically can't do that.
I physically just like, I mean, he shreds and he's like flawless, and my eyes were like, I want to do that forever. But yeah, I still can't. But no, Virginia basically, and I went way off on that.
Oh, this always.
Virginia, basically, because we were originally a time where you go to churches, you go to hole in the walls, which is cool, and even we had some great house shows back in the day. But churches was like honestly the biggest shows. Like I saw some of the biggest stuff. I saw freaking Plea for Purging, My Show, My Bride, just all the really good bands at that time. At churches, Chariot in the church is one of the coolest things I will say. Seeing the Chariot in a church will blow my mind because it's one of those things that I remember the pastor at the time was like I don't know, he was getting into it, which was shocking me because they were like throwing chairs. They were just like we're a positive band, and they were like Christians, or they never really pronounce it, but they are like positive in that band. Especially Josh is still kind of to his faith. But they were like chaotic, and they were kind of like, the pastor I felt like it could have gone one of two ways, and it went the other way, which I was like, he started throwing chairs too. But yeah, I digress. But everyone started used to the whole tickets, but some of the best shows you'd ever play for. I mean, Dead Throne Tour, We Came as Romans with Attila and Emir. Those the shows that you dream about going to see that you don't really see anymore, unless you really, really search them out for them, were happening. And then, but basically, they established themselves because it was this thing called 2420, and they had their own video, graphic design crew, and merch crew, and they were like the legit, like basically everything but the label.
Yeah.
Because they were working for Out of Loop Presents, which was the label, and management and stuff like that. And so they're bringing all these tour packages, and all of a sudden they were like, we're going to LA, and they just dipped out, and they took all that with them.
Better market.
So, and yeah, it sucks, but then it just kind of left the scene where it just dissolved. I watched it dissolve and change like that. And my theory, though, also, and this is just my personal theory, this happened in 2013. What other event that really impacted 2013? And we just talked about it. Ashley Lang.
Oh.
That's my theory. I know that may not be, but I watched just how much what he did changed everybody's feeling about metalcore, and
yeah, I mean that's a huge impact. But
it was a huge impact.
All of metalcore was changing at that point.
It was, but that was a big catalyst though. That was because then what started popping up is bands like Traitor, Sworn In, bands that were still like that on the ground. Sever the King was one of those. Decare. There were a lot of bands that were like out there, kind of doing it. But then they start becoming more relevant because those other bands started fading away fast. Like, as soon as As Lay Dying, I started seeing all those bands just disappear. War of Ages, Demon Hunter stopped touring as much. So many of those kind of like metalcore bands. So that shifted the genre, and that shifted how it was in Virginia. So Virginia was one of those places that I love, and being that I was a part of it for such a long time, I probably didn't see the impact as much. But I also can say that I was probably out of the scene. I was like a spectator watching it for about a year because of the incidents that happened in 2013. And it is different because the scene has evolved such a way that I think like a lot of people did move from Virginia into different places. You know, guys from Bad Omens were from Virginia. Some of them are now in Cali and stuff like that. I mean, Enterprise's Earth vocalist was from
that kind of that just happens.
It does,
because I mean, if you're in a band like that and you're trying to be successful, you got to go where the market is.
It does make sense.
There's a better market other places.
I respect North Carolina for one thing. A lot of the bands I've seen around here, they've stuck to it, and there's a lot of people that follow them for years. Or like, for example, Death of a Tyrant. I remember them back in the day, and when I think I saw them once in 2013. I can't remember where, but might have been Volume 11. I'm not sure. I can't even. So many shows, they all kind of blend together. But I saw just those bands like Croesus started in 2015, and then Valleys 2013, 2012, 2013. Yeah, so they've been around. So a lot of these bands, and like you see Death of a Tyrant coming back, you see Take Heart coming back. They were bands that were big, and they made an impact on the scene back then. And in Virginia, you don't see that. And there's something to say about that. There's something to say about how the scene here, everybody kind of knows each other. Everybody, some cases, half the people went to school with each other, and it's one of these things that the bands around here, they just know who they are, and they kind of like they can come pick it back up and keep doing what they love. In Virginia, it's like if it ends, it ends. It's over. Like they don't want to talk about it. Like there's one band called Honor Crest, and they got signed to Rise, and they got screwed by Rise, and they're like they don't want to touch an instrument now. Like that's just how they were. Like they don't want to touch an instrument.
Get a bad taste in your mouth.
A lot of bands that I watched growing up in Virginia, they just stopped doing it altogether. They stopped playing. Down here, they may just record a gig or jam. Like people still play after a decade. Up there, they like stop altogether. Mm-hmm. I don't know. It's a weird phenomenon. So that's one of the things that I thought was interesting about the Virginia scene in comparison to others. And I feel like it also has to do with the people. And not just like mentality. I mean like the kind of people you get. Because you know, like for example, Raleigh, you have Cary, which is like the central area of relocated Yankees, as they call it, right? So a lot of people are not from that area. You know, there's a lot of people down here that are more genuinely from this area, while Virginia is such a mix. There's a military when you go up Northern Virginia and 757 Norfolk. And then you have that college, like 2-3 colleges kind of squished in Richmond. So there's a lot of people not from that area. And it makes it interesting because they're bringing their talents from different areas, like Tennessee or what have you. I met people from Michigan, Tennessee, New York. And they're just kind of leaving day and dispersing. While North Carolina, I feel like a lot of people stay here genuinely. There's a lot of people that are here, grew up here most of their life, and stay here. Yeah, I do like it.
Nice.
You know, it's interesting phenomenon. Everybody, you know, I feel like everyone to a degree talks about how they don't want to be where they live, but I think it's because you're around the same place for too long. I think it's just natural for everyone to be like, you know what, I want to move. I want to do something. I want to see something different. I want to do something different. I find myself really fortunate to be here, honestly, in North Carolina, because it's like I'm seeing a different part of life. Because there was a while where I got sick of Richmond. I got sick of hanging out. Now I go back to Richmond. I'm like, oh, nostalgia. And there's like,
I go back home and I'm like, oh, I can't wait to leave.
Yeah, I mean, I guess maybe I didn't leave it because it's only 3 hours away, really. Yeah. But it's also believe it or not, it's such a different world. Like the scene is a different world here than it is in Richmond, in Virginia as a whole. So I'm really grateful for it here. I really do enjoy. It took me a very long time to be known in the scene, and I might be technology and probably 95% of it was my maturity and how dumb of a person I was then. But I think a lot of it is also just like people here, they like to hang out, they like to, and that comes a double-edged sword, because if you're not known, if your friends aren't friends with people in the band, then no one's going to follow your band. Like, I love Infirma because it's like almost everybody who knows Kyle, everybody knows Ethan, everybody knows Jeffrey. They bring such a following on their own because they still continue doing music, and that's something I really love. But from an outsider perspective, like me, who I just want to play with people. Yeah, I'm kind of lone wolfing it right now. So.
Oh, dude, when I was like just trying to set up shows and stuff, I was just winging it, just hitting up anybody like, "Yo, you want to play?" Luckily, Russell, I fucking love Russell.
Russell Davis.
I love that man.
Here's the one thing I remember, and that was where I saw you guys for the first time too. It was at Maywood. I will never forget it, because with the job I moved down here for work, so my job took over my life. But I forced myself, like, you know what? I literally almost got myself fired because I got fed up. I was like, I'm not taking that call. I'll go to someone else. Shut up my phone, because I do a lot of emergency response work. So I went to go see. I can't remember who else was on that, but I got there in time to see Tracking the Fall, Fear the Indifference, and Aragon.
Oh yeah, it was
And through all this time too.
Through all this time, and
Because Aragon headlined, so.
Yeah, and what's the name of that first band?
I missed them, so I don't really remember. I heard they were
I
really
can't
good.
remember the name, but they were good. I enjoyed them. They're very like kind of Norma Jeannie.
I'm really like, that was one of the things that I'm going to be always forever grateful for. Kevin Lachian, I'm like, surprising enough, he was one of those people that I knew from just me watching the scene in Virginia. He followed my solo project, which I'm part of the reason why I wanted to share more about that here, but that's whatever, self-plug. But he was,
point, right?
Yeah, right? Well, that's the whole point, self-plug. Yeah, recording studios. Anyways, he was one of those that followed me, and he found my solo project of all things, and we kind of kept in talks a little bit here and there. And there's a few people I followed. Nolan, well, everybody knows Nolan. Nolan's like one of the most popular, I think one of the most popular people I've met around here. Like, people, I knew about him in like 2011, 2012.
Nolan who?
Smith.
Is what band?
He's in Heirloom. Sorry, yeah, I'm gonna plug that.
Okay.
Yeah, the vocalist for Heirloom.
Okay, gotcha. Okay.
Sorry, yeah.
Okay.
So I'm bad with names.
I'm not from here either, but
What are you from?
Charleston, South Carolina.
Nice. I was down there. I was actually more specifically Mount Pleasant. It's a beautiful
Okay,
area.
yeah. I actually met Noah the night.
Was that
I met him at Day to Remember show.
I thought you meant.
No, I met him at Emo Night.
It was Emo Night.
Yeah, it was
Raleigh.
Emo Night.
Yeah, because we were talking with the guys from Ticket.
Yeah, Mike was like, "Meet these dudes over here."
Meet these dudes.
Go meet
Okay.
these guys.
Why
So I
not?
did. So they're pretty nice people.
Oh, then we saw them. We saw them like that.
Yeah, we saw them
went
that
to
same weekend. We saw them play
4 shows.
4 shows.
4 shows in 5 days. No,
Yeah.
5 shows in 4 days. With Morgan.
Yeah, that was pretty much, that was how that week was. I can't remember that week. Such a busy week, and I've loved it, but it was such a busy week with geez, there was something going on that Monday. I can't blank out, and then I ended up going to Richmond, Lynchburg, Virginia, to practice Wednesday. Played Thursday. Saw Bad Omens with Played by Kings and Seek and Solace. Love you, Dustin, if he sees this, if he hears this. And then I saw. Why am I blanking out? I know it's Sunday. I went to go see Take Heart, Discerner, and Heirloom, and I love Discerner a lot. So that's what we're talking about. Well, we're talking about through all this time, but yeah. So I saw. Oh yeah, that's what Nova Mortis EP release shows on that Saturday. Where
The Drunk Horse.
Yes. So I was there for that. I had to see, and that was a night of homies. I mean, for sure. I feel like that's a show that more people should have been out, but I don't know who else was playing that weekend. That's another thing about North Carolina.
That was the thing. There were like 5 shows that weekend. Like
that was something.
5 shows in 4 days, or 6 shows in 4 days. Or something.
I remember that was. I remember that like that was the week where I felt like there was like 6 or 8 shows that whole week going on. Like there was a show going on. Like there was like I think there was 3 shows going on that Saturday. Oh yeah, there was the battle at Guy Tiger. There was that one, and that was kind of like I'm always going to see Seek and Solace if I can ever get a chance, and I'm pretty sure I've like bought enough tickets that I never got to see them so many times. I think I've bought maybe like 5 or 6 tickets just to go, just to support them and not go, or can't go. Most of the time can't go. So that's the one band like I'll go out of the way to see. Whatever. I've seen them they're probably the one local I've seen the most, more than them and Discoveries. When I first moved here, I got an apartment and I didn't know anyone in the area, so I just bought the first thing that was available, which was expensive. And essentially, going through some personal situations, Chris Winterholler, a vocalist from Discoveries, he became my roommate.
Mm-hmm.
So I ended up following him.
Very random?
Yeah, mainly because, I knew Kevin. Kevin plugged me into people in the scene. Kevin and Chris put us together. And it worked out because he filled in for the band I was in for Pathos at the time for a few shows on drums, and that kid can slap, boy. I'm telling you. I know he talks about he's tired of drums or he gets tired playing them. That boy fucking slaps. That boy can play, and he thinks he talks like he doesn't. Maybe he does it just so no one asks him to play, but that kid can play. Anyway, but no, I've seen Discoveries probably like 8 times, and I've seen Sick and Souls probably about the same, pretty close to it. So it's one of those things. There was that show going on. It's one of the things I've noticed about North Carolina. You could almost any week there's 6 shows to go to. It's almost exhausting, honestly. It reminded me what I was doing in 2011 when I was talking about when I was still living in Amelia. I would literally just go. I'd go to Gallery 5, Mo Fozzie's, Alley Cats, Canal Club, Hat Factory, all in the same weekend. Mm-hmm. And that's what it feels like now, except for instead of it all being within 10, 15 minutes in downtown Richmond, it's an hour and a half. It's like, I want to go see, it's one of I want to go see Dustin and I want to go see Dustin with Seek and Solace and Dear Desolate in Greensboro, but I also want to go see Nova Mortis in Fayetteville. What are you going to do?
Which are 2 hours. 2+ hours from each other.
So, but at least I can say that if I want to go to a show, there's definitely a lot of options. So I don't even think there's much this weekend. I didn't see much.
It's a lot of. I feel like it's like some weekend there'll be like 3 or 4 shows. Yeah. And then another weekend there may not be any.
Well,
I feel like they cluster very often.
Yeah, to be honest, I feel like that was kind of one of the things that we were having an issue with too. With Pathos, my previous band, there was we were trying to play with. It was that one tour with After the Burial and Acacia Strain. We're doing a tour together in Greensboro, and we could have hopped on that. We didn't. Whatever. But then we were trying to play this festival that Dylan Taylor, Head Trip Trauma. He's the bassist for Head Trip Trauma. Right. He was putting on this big festival, and that fell through. So we were about to play this festival, all these local deathcore bands, which was going to be the hype.
Yeah.
And it just sucked.
I mean, it's music.
Yeah.
I said that the other day, just it's just music. Like, this shit just happens.
Yeah.
All the time.
It
happens.
It does. It's crazy. And that's, I think, also coming from Virginia to here is a different mentality in how people treat bands. For the longest time, seeing the bands from the Hampton Roads, Virginia Beach area, there were bands that were trying to make the big moves for being signed. Like right now, it's Revenant is the band in that area that's making moves, and they do tours, weekend runs, stuff like that. There's a couple other bands in that time, a band called Before Him and a band called Honor Crest, which did make it. So in that area specifically, it's either you're in the military, you work with the shipyards, or you're doing music. So there's such a weird mentality about it. It was kind of depressing, in a sense how people just they kind of looked at it in certain ways, and that was it. But also they also have some good hardcore bands. They had Paper Trail, Paperback. Can't remember so many bands hardcore bands, but there's Grit. There's a lot of hardcore bands also coming from that area too. Definitely a big hardcore scene, but as well as metalcore was that's how people approach it. You're either making moves to get signed or you're just out there playing shows. Down here, most people just want to play shows, which is, I respect that. And me personally, I've always been the person that likes the grind. I like being able to the opportunities of doing weekend runs and playing shows and stuff, because then everyone gets tired of hearing me. If you're playing in your scene but so much, everyone gets tired of you. And that's kind of why I love the guys in Croesus. That's another person that I have met a long time ago before even moving, was Daniel Cece, the drummer from Croesus. I think he friended me on Facebook December 2012. if I can remember correctly, a long time ago. Before he was in everything, he didn't even get into Sclerosis till like 2015. So it was one of those things that I was watching. You know, I followed him because of his projects. I probably will leave him unnamed so I don't embarrass him. But it was one of those things that there's not many bands that are pushing for that grind. I know Valleys was another one, as well as Crosses, obviously, and I'm stoked to see what Valleys got coming up. And funny story about them, I booked some shows here and there. Not like I'm not claiming to be any promoter or anything, but my big thing is I like trying to put on a couple of shows here and there, maybe like once every 6 months, rather it be kind of combining bands from different scenes,
crossover shows.
and yeah, stuff like that. So I did one. I was in a band called Countermeasures in Virginia Beach, and we were doing an EP release show. So you know, I knew a bunch of bands from all different areas, and I was from Richmond, but I was still going to the Virginia Beach area. So it's a 2-hour difference, but still separate scenes. But Alex McGinnis, who is the manager for Crosses, he was managing at the time Valleys. And he was based out of the Norfolk area. I don't know, he's running like radio or something. I hope my facts are right. If my facts are wrong, I apologize, just anyone who hears that, so whatever. Music is like clutters my brain. So he helped me get on book a show at Shaka's, which was pretty much one of the better like mid-sized venues, rest in peace, for that area. It's right off the ocean front. Some of the really cool tours came through there. And he was kind of like, since I helped you get out of that show, could you put on one of my friends' bands, one of the bands he manages, which is Valleys. And, you know, obviously that was, you know, kind of them coming back after what happened with them. And I didn't even realize that I was good with Daniel, and Danny and I was like, man, anytime I can play Virginia, dude, get me up there. So I put Crosses already. Mm-hmm. So at that time, Brandon Skark, which was a guitar player for both. And I was it was that time. I was like, so I'm going to have 2 North Carolina bands. This should be fun. And Alex was like, no, just keep Crosses. And that was probably the best move for them. Just because that was their first Virginia show, so that was really cool for them. But yeah, like that was one of those shows that I had like a band from Northern. I think I had one band from Maryland, 2 or 3 bands locally, one band. There was like one band that was like up there getting tours. A band called Of Tyrants. Valleys toured with them, I think once or twice. I think Crosses toured them once. I'm not fully sure. They all blend together, but they were bigger, but they were still from that area. And then us, obviously, got a band called Ruin, which was like melodic hardcore from Northern Virginia, and then Daniel CC with Crosses from North Carolina. So I always try to find bands to kind of like throw them here or there. I even try to help Discoveries in Constellation Islands play with Volumes. I try to help them out with that show when they went up to Shaka's for that. So, you know, I've always been good at trying to find bands to kind of plug them in different areas, and because, you know, I totally get expanding and playing in other scenes. And like that was the reason I also was able to make my move from Virginia to North Carolina, is knowing Daniel. Like I knew Peter, I don't know where I can't remember his name. I knew of Nolan, I knew Daniel, I knew of Kevin Lachiana. So I knew a couple of people down here that I knew that if I would have had the time, I would be able to connect and talk to them and stuff. So it made my move easier. So, but it's one of those things that music is just amazing, that you meet people from different areas, and like you never know who you're gonna run into. You can run into assholes like me. Okay, yeah, I'll just say it. Annoying assholes on Facebook who probably shouldn't be. Should be like, I should be banned for as much as I use Facebook. I can admit it. I can admit to my
shameless plugs.
Yeah, shameless. I can admit to my problems. It's the first step to admit you have a problem, right? Sometimes. Okay.
Sometimes it takes a friend to point it out.
Yeah, sometimes you have to have friends.
I've had quite a few people point it out, and I still don't listen. I'm like,
I gotta piss.
Yeah, okay.
So bad right now.
Oh, for sure.
Yes. We're gonna get us pissed.
Don't worry, everyone can listen. It will be recorded.
Yeah, I want to hear you, dude.
This is a cool spot. So, do you have another roommate, or is it just you?
It's just me and Tanner. So, yeah, we'll be moving out next week.
I can see where, like,
next week or 2 weeks from now.
I can see, like, you already got stuff starting. I'm starting to see that. I thought you were all moving in. So.
Yeah, we're moving out.
That's what's up. You going to move to a new area or something?
Supposed to be moving into a van. Doing the whole van life thing.
Really?
Yeah, it's gonna be fun.
That's super cool. Like, what kind of van though? Like, if you don't mind me asking.
It's like a church van, the 15-passenger vans.
Oh, okay.
And the ones we've been looking at them have like an extra top on them, so they're
Okay.
like 6 foot tall. We're just gonna build them out with like your basic kitchen and then your workspace, and then obviously 2 beds in there. Stuff for recording wise whenever we need to record something.
I knew a couple people in Fredericksburg. They had like their mobile rig, but they also lived in it. And I think they took a Mercedes Sprinter and they like turned into that. Expensive.
They had the money.
Yeah. Granted.
Jesus.
I think on the last episode, you give out the address and be like, free for all, because we won't live here anymore.
Free for all.
Anyone
Come get this shit. Come get this shit.
That's wild. So, do you still play actively out, or do you just kind of do it here and there?
Oh, we're just writing right now.
Gotcha.
So
Because you guys did a show. No, that's right. You're not in there. I don't know why I keep forgetting that. Yeah, they did one in May. That's what it was. I keep forgetting that. Like, it was so quiet. I keep forgetting that sometimes. Where it wasn't like really an announcement or anything like that. Or
yeah, no. I mean, well, like I left in December.
Yeah. Okay.
And then they filled the positions February-ish time.
Mm-hmm.
So then turn around. They're like just writing new material.
Gotcha.
They were talking about going and recording a single.
That's sick.
So I hope I want to hear that soon, because like I heard some of the stuff that they were like writing, and I was like, oh hell yeah,
That should be exciting. 'Cause I think for a while.
Their vocals are better than me, anyways.
Well, I mean, it sucks to say, but sometimes that's what you would want from a band, right? For them to progress.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like,
absolutely.
But it's kind of like, oh, now I know why. I know I got replaced for a reason, but a good reason. But yeah, so I think for a while Chris Taylor was kind of writing with them. I'm not really sure. I'm not sure how familiar I am with that or not, or he was kind of involved or partly. I don't know. I've heard that he was like jamming or writing some degree involved.
I haven't talked to them lately about it.
Yeah, there's so many bands. Like it's kind of like I'm usually really good with names and memories. Now I'm kind of like jumbling all over the place. It's like keep up with what Seek and Solace is doing. I don't know what's going on with Kevin Laciana. So if I really want to find out anything musically, yeah, I do know that because him and Nick Petruzzi.
Yeah.
I love that guy. Like I'm really excited for what he is. He's such a good guy and he's been super nice to me. I'm really cool. I'm really grateful for some of the people I have met, like Justin Alexander, and Fear the Indifference. That guy is super awesome. I always tell him, and if you hear this,
fucking big.
Yeah, but here's the thing. It almost his demeanor works perfectly with how big he is. His demeanor is great because it's like you see this really big guy that looks like he could crush you, but he also has this really calm, chill, relaxed, mature personality. So it's kind of like...
And then he screams.
Yeah,
Fuck.
And then he's a monster. I still want him to do an After the Burial cover because his lows remind me of some of the lows that After the Burial... Like, if he did something like Berserker, that'd be killer. I still think he can do it. If he hears this, you should do it. But
my favorite song by them is Lost in the Static.
Everybody lose their minds. It's crazy to think that a song is pretty simple
Yeah,
when it
it
comes
was very simple.
compared to
Yeah.
Well,
I just like that.
but it's the thing is they did something with that song that like every single band to some degree tries to. They find a hook that they milked and it because anytime you hear Lost in the South you just lose your mind literally. And I know there's obviously bittersweet feelings because of that was like the first thing they released after Justin passed, and I've looked up to this After the Bear. There's a time where I was like about into the prog with a band I was in, Pray for an Afterlife. We were like I the Breather, Truth and Purpose, Rare Form, and Periphery 2. That was what we were trying to like. Granted, fail Maya. How do you not listen to prog? I listen to a level of progressive deathcore. Mark Okabo's so high and writing those riffs that you're like, why?
Villa Mayonnaise. Come on, man, it's so good.
Villa Mio.
I always joke. I call them a gentier fit for a king.
Shut your fucking mouth. They're not gent.
Just to fuck with Nick.
I don't. I know you're doing it to mess with him, but I can't even melts my brain because it's like how like that guy writes riffs on riffs on riffs on riffs and riffs, and like they don't even like they in a lot of ways they don't make sense, but they're so good until the newer stuff. The newer stuff is a lot more structured, which I love. The new direction because I'm always going to love a good evolution for bands, and but yeah, I have my personal qualms with them as a whole, like the history. I've heard things from people that have actually toured with them, which makes me uncomfortable. But overall, like just separating the art from the artist.
They're assholes.
Yeah, well, I've heard some things have happened. They've done some things with some people, but I don't want to. I wasn't on the road, but it's what I heard from people that were on the road with them and trustworthy people. But neither here or there. Like one of my biggest qualms I had with them, I was having this argument the last show I was at. Brandon, the vocalist, the old vocalist, he sounds like a death metal vocalist on their recordings. But live, he doesn't sound anything like the record. And which, to me, I'm happy because he sounds so much better live. I just wish he translated that.
Yeah.
Because literally all he did was like that kind of style. But he could do everything live. And he never did. And it frustrated me because it's like, I want to hear what I'm hearing. Like when I first heard... what was that one single they did? It was like right before they did Monarch. I can't remember. It's like...
You'd have to talk to him.
Yeah, I can't remember. It was... I think it was called Phoenix, I think.
What a miss.
Remember that one...
Veil of Mayonnaise.
Veil of Mayonnaise. What was that one single they did when they... It was like the first showing of the new vocalist. It was just like straight... I can't remember, but it was like right after Brandon left and they put out one song. No, Subject Zero, I think. I think it's Subject Zero. I don't know, but whatever. The point is that like I watched him do that live, and he was like killed it. But then like you hear everything. Like for example, like I love Unbreakable, but the vocals on the recordings piss me off. Like mainly Common Man's Collapse, where it's literally the same style of vocals over and over, but he just owns it. So that's the one thing I didn't like about them for the longest time. I'd literally just listen for the riffs. Like, try to learn Resistance. Like, that was a workout for days. And I still can't do it. Still can't do it. I could do that.
I don't try to fuck with any of that dude's music. I just like how it just sounds good. There's just so much going on. He's a fucking one guitar player playing two.
Yeah.
Like, when you see him live, he's playing the rhythm. As soon as he's playing the rhythm, he'll throw in a little lead lick in there and still keep it going. And on top of that, your fucking bass player is playing a lead on top of everything.
He's got a 7-string bass.
Yeah, he's playing rhythm. He's playing true rhythm.
Yeah, so...
My guitar player just doing what
So, I have to do... That's kind of another band, I guess. If I would have talked about... We were talking earlier about two, like, the need of 1 and 2 man guitarists. That's a band that doesn't need it. Like, they just killed it. I mean, they just
kill it. I know he's got his backtrackings and his keyboard shit going on, but
they could play their stuff majority without it.
Yeah,
they really
can
can.
Do it all by himself.
Because it would be that, and it would be the bass player doing more, and him doing a little more, and that's it. So, but no, that's another band. Like they're killing it. But that was kind of like that phase. So too. So it's cool that you're still doing music a little bit because I felt like there was a little bit of steam for Aragon, and then it dropped off, and you know everyone goes through stuff like that.
I mean, it is what it is.
Still bummed that we didn't do that show. I was really looking forward to that because
I want to play Chapel Hill, so yeah.
Local 5-6 is definitely a cool spot. I like it. I like that venue a lot.
And then right down the street is Alley Cat.
It's funny that there is a place called Alley Cat, and down the street is also Cat's Cradle.
Cat's Cradle. My bad.
That's what the Alley Cat. Alley Cat is.
Alley Cat.
You must. You're about to say Alley Cat was for. I mean, there's another venue. I think there's a venue in Alabama called Alley Cat.
Club, bro.
Might be a stroke club, but that spot. That one's pretty big. Yeah.
I think Knocked Loose is coming back there almost the exact day. No, wait. Let's see. My brain's.
The hardcore band?
Yeah, Knocked Loose is playing there October.
I loved it.
Heavy. Not a fan of the vocals.
I can't do the vocals. It's just
like anybody.
It's just
here's. I'm a very opinionated, so sorry to anyone who listens to this.
Everyone is.
So my thing is like I appreciate him because he's he's going back to like 90s punk vocals we're doing.
Yeah, but it doesn't sound good. So what?
It doesn't translate. It's something that has to grow on you. I do like when the guitarist and him do vocals together. Okay. That sounds like He's like the guitarist has got this really low death metal, and then
it's the lows with
yes,
it
it's
fine.
unreal.
It sounds really good together.
Even live, it sounds really good. But I just saw Knocked Loose at Epicenter, and that was kind of I was actually a little less than disappointed with the vocalist. But the band, it's everything you would ever hope for, really. Like, they're everything that you want, except for the bass was ignorantly loud. It was, I don't think you heard anything but boom. Like, I feel like every pick attack was a bass drop. Like, I literally was listening to him, and I just felt every bass, it was like boom, boom. I was like, I've never felt the bass, like, I felt like my chest was going to implode.
Shoot, when we saw He Is Legends, and all that,
the Blind Tiger.
The guitarist was so loud.
Yeah, we're at the Blind Tiger for Halloween weekend, and the guitar player Adam, he was.
But we really went there to see Emery anyway.
No, we went to go see He Is Legend.
I feel like those bands really do. I've seen Norma Jean and He Is Legend quite a bit come through together in the years, so I feel like that group of like. It's like that. It's almost like Stampin' Time, you know. I like. I was watching an interview one time with Jonathan Davis talking about the records. He's like, the certain bands, certain music are Stampin' Time, and I feel like Emery, Norma Jean, a little bit, He Is Legend, those bands are Stampin' Time. Like they're a different Stampin' Time. So I've seen those guys tour together through the years. I've probably seen maybe 3 different tours where there's a combination of those bands. Whether it be Norma Jean, He Is Legend, Emery, just whatever the case may be. But I think like I grew out of He Is Legend because people loved them so much. They're so good. They are good. They are good.
It's my favorite band.
Oh really?
Yeah.
You know, I don't know why, but for whatever reason, my brain always puts He Is Legend and Maylene together. Not like they're the same band, but like if I have to listen to both of them somehow for whatever reason. I don't know why. But those are kind of bands like you listen to one band and then you want to listen to other bands that kind of fit that time frame or that style of music. Maybe I've seen them together. I don't know. I've seen way too many shows.
You probably seen them together.
Yeah, it's
back in the day. They used to be.
Yeah, back like 2007, 2008. Yeah, bands like that. But yeah, so I mean, it sounds like it was a good time though. I like the Blind Tiger. And Blind Tiger can be a hit and miss on their sound. Most of the time, it's bass heavy.
Emery sounded great.
Yeah. That guitar player from Legend, Adam, he was just, his amp itself.
It was just so.
He was at a 12. On the other side was sitting at maybe a 9.
That's
and
wild.
We were standing right in front of him.
I was right in front of him.
I went to the back. I was like, I can't.
That's
I was
wild.
like, I can't. Well, I couldn't hear anything else. It's like, and my head started hurting. And I was just sitting there like, I'm leaving, you guys. Have fun.
I'm always front and center for them. I'm always up front.
Right in front of Adam.
Mouth open.
Yeah.
Me afterwards?
Yeah, give me that chode.
Give it to me. You need the knowledge.
So what's your favorite band, Tanner?
Done. I can name that.
Can you though?
So yours is He Is Legend.
I mean, if we're talking heavy,
Okay.
Parkway.
Parkway?
Fucking love Parkway.
You know what's crazy to say? Like, I liked their stuff. Like, obviously, the first 3 records, Deep Blue, Horizons. Yeah, like, obviously. Mm-hmm. But I've almost, liked them better now in a way. Like, looking back at the whole discography, it took me a long time. I think, for the longest time, I would listen to a band and that album would be stuck in my head and nothing else mattered in the world. Everything else a band would do didn't matter. But now I'm looking back and I'm like, you know what? I'm really digging what Winston is doing with the vocals. Like, he's got that unique style.
He's had to though, because his vocal. I mean, he was losing the power in his voice, so I think he learned. Because you can't. You can't do what they were doing on Killing with a Smile. For 13.
Did he do that training with that lady?
Yeah.
Lady?
Probably.
Well, that's what happened.
No, I don't think he ever did.
He did later on.
He did. Okay.
Yeah, later on, which is why he was the evolution with them
coming back
because they still play the old stuff and they still kill it.
Oh yeah.
They sound better than ever with everything they do. But they're one of those bands that everyone knows, Carry On. Everyone knows, all those other singles that they put out.
Sleepwalker.
Yeah, so. But I've come to Parkway Drive was one of those bands that I don't listen much. They're definitely a band that I want to listen to more live, and they're now at a point where I can't catch them. Like I saw them. I saw Parkway Drive on a tour that didn't make sense. I think it was just like them being able to tour by themselves. It was what was it? Set Your Goals and another band I don't really remember. Like they didn't. I don't think I've ever heard of them since after that show. And I that was a statement time for 2011, and they played out the first 3 records. Like it was like an hour and a half of straight those 3 records combined, and it was just like a time like sold out too in a 1,400 cap. Like this venue is like built almost the same as the Ritz. Mm-hmm. Just that time, that music was great. I don't know, just Parkway Drive definitely. You know, they definitely got a lot of haters because they're the evolution of their sound, and I think a lot of it's forced because it was a little forced because Winston couldn't keep doing what he was doing. One band that I'm surprised that still is able to keep his voice is Jake from August Burns Red.
Dude, I mean, if he can perform,
I've never seen
if he can catch his breath to do the vocals.
There's only one band that I have that big car with, and that's Prada. Devil Wears Prada is the worst.
Prada, yeah, he's
Mike is the worst with that, and I will granted what he makes up, what he loses in vocal is
rolling around on the ground.
Yeah.
Of course, he's not screaming well.
Like he's like I don't know how he's alive with what he's doing. It sounds like he's destroying his voice every record, and it sounds like he's destroying his voice every tour. I don't know how he's able to keep doing it. But it's not in a good way.
He pulls back a lot though, like. I think he's not going that hard on his vocals. It may sound like it, but I don't think he actually is going that hard.
It sounds like it, but half the time it sounds like his voice is going in and out. It sounds like microphone issues. Yeah. Almost every show I've seen him for the past 3-4 shows, it sounds like his voice is going in and out. Like I've seen them in a 200 cap room.
But he might be doing that more as like a protective measure, where he's like, I'm gonna like.
It just ruined to me. Yeah. For me, it ruins all the songs that I love about them. Because it's like, you know, like I remember watching. It was Mammoth. Everyone knows. I won't let this ruin me. He literally goes. Whoa. It sounds like that. Where it sounds like the cable's going out. And I'm like, it's not hype. I mean, just make the effort to say, I won't, and then let the crowd do the rest.
Then just
yeah. Instead of, it sounded like his vocals were like distorted and breaking in. I was like, dude, what are you doing?
There's a live, I don't know what show this was. Obviously, a huge show for August Burns Red. Mm-hmm. And there's like a live recording or they did like a live album or something like that. So on Pandora, it'll pop up, like certain songs like pop up, like Major and the Minors or something. And Jake is legitimately just cutting in and out of the songs. Like you can hear him just like run out of breath and just like not being able to perform. And I'm just like, remember, like this would be better if he just wasn't even playing right now.
It's crazy. I don't know.
Love the guys. Love the music, but
I've never seen that in person, but I've seen them quite a few times, and they've never disappointed. Like I saw him the last time I saw him was what's the last? I don't know anymore. I think it was Warped Tour. I'm not sure.
They're coming back.
I'm sure. I saw them. Yeah, I bought tickets to that. I'm going. That's the album that defined a lot for me. Like,
is that August?
That is August 4th at the Ritz.
4th. Okay.
August 4th at the Ritz with Sound Planet. Very sad supporting tour package though, because I saw the Messengers tour in Richmond, and it was. I see too many shows. I can't even remember. Protest the Heroes on it, which was super good. The sound guy screwed them, but they were super good. But that was just a great lineup I saw them with, and like there was like 4 bands on that. It's my phone.
No, I was just checking to make sure we're still going.
They're probably like, oh god, because I saw like your Discoveries one. It was like 2 hours. I'm like, Jesus.
Oh, I've done 4+.
Yeah, I gotcha. I wonder if anybody cares to listen to it.
Black Play was 4.5 hours or something like that.
That's wild. So one of the things that with that tour lineup, like the fact that it's just Silverstein, and I will say the 3-band tour is a good vibe.
Silverstein
is amazing.
So good live.
Oh yeah, flawless. I've seen them 6 times, utterly flawless. Like really good, not just flawless, but a good time. Like the music's fun. They play. Their live show is reflective of the music. Like, and that's kind of when you know a band found their sound. Where they're not forcing to write. They're not playing stuff they're forcing, to play. They don't write stuff they force to play. It's like they're writing genuinely themselves. And that's a band that I really have enjoyed. I've seen them on so many good tours. I've seen them with Glass Cloud. I've seen them with City in Color. No, not City in Color. No, City Lights, Broadway. So many different bands. I can't even remember. Picturesque. I saw them in Picturesque. So many different tours. Of course, them always headlining at this point.
Mm-hmm.
I saw them at Warped Tour 2017, and they killed it. I think they're putting out new music now, and I'm not sure.
They just released a new song with Caleb Shoma.
That is something I'm gonna have to check that out because the last album was different for me. Because last album was really heavier.
Nick was saying that they got a new guitarist. I don't know if that's true.
But they went heavier, like them trying to go
different tone. I mean, they have a much different tone.
Yeah, it did. It even had some like a gent tonality, not gent riffs necessarily, but gent tonality. And I was like, it's good. It's not Silverstein. It's good though, but it's not Silverstein. I'm always going to rather be Discover the Waterfront. Oh, honestly, my favorite record is yeah, of course. It's honestly Until Wind Shifts is that is gold. That is
every song.
It's pure gold. Even they released like 2 different albums after that.
What's the other?
Some in Condition. The one after that was really good too.
Alive and I'm alive and everything you touch or something like. Is that an album or is that a song?
That's a song.
Okay.
That's a song on
Continual Condition.
Yeah, Continual Condition is the second record. That's the record after that, 2015. That was
Dead Reflections.
That 2017, yeah.
That one, my favorite song is it's the Woes. It's the fucking Woes. It's so stupid. It's so cheesy, but I fucking love those Woes.
Yeah, I think it's like almost any band that can pull off a Woe like deserves respect. It's kind of like when ABR did Empire. When they did Whoa, like you're kind of like ABR's doing this, okay. It's kind of like
that's Parkway to a T.
Yeah, I mean that's also like in a way that's kind of their vibe too.
Yeah,
that's kind of their vibe. I kind of feel like they get that stable to do that.
Well, it fits so well with. I mean, like
them Australian
like
down in the land down under
like music shit that they got playing.
Yeah, they're so sick though. But no, I'm looking forward to seeing ABR, and hopefully he doesn't do that because Constellations was like. In 2009, I was trying to learn how to play something other than rock riffs and Metallica riffs. Because, my sad story is I actually learned classical by ear for a long time. And then I get to high school and everyone's like, can you play Metallica? Can you play Enter Sandman? And just to get popular and get people to know me because I got into a new high school and stuff, I was like, okay. And I started playing that and everyone's like, yo, this guy can play Metallica. And then I lost all my talent. I feel like that's where my talent just went downhill because like I was that kid who wanted to be like Bach and all the classical stuff and Paganini, and I loved that discipline I had, but then now it's like I'm gonna play just straight exit. I'm just kidding, no. But so when I heard and then Disturbed, and then I was struggling with still learning Through the Fire and Flames with Dragon Force, Disturbed solos, Hate on You, No You're Not. But 10,000th Fist had some solid riffs and some solid solos.
I like Disturbed.
That's my favorite. Me too.
I grew up listening to hard rock, so.
Yeah, I'm more of a hard rock kid. Like I feel like when I tell people, I feel like I should have been born in a teenager in the '90s, so I could be going to the Ozfests, Taste of Chaos, Turn of the Century, Sounds of the Underground tours. Those are the tours I would have loved to have been a part of. Seeing freaking Converge and seeing Zayo and seeing those bands. Even if I had a chance to see Earth Crisis, would have been sick. But I felt like I should have been really in jumpsuits and dreads in the era of Korn more than anything. Like to be in Alive at the same era with Korn, Lollapalooza is to live for. Like I mean, they really transcended everything. Like in a lot of ways, they were like one of the first emo Inks bands when you think about it. Because think about it. Who else at that time was talking about their emotions and feelings like Jonathan was? Jonathan's kind of weird. He's kind of emo.
He's kind of weird?
I say that very mildly, but you get my point. Like, he's emo. He's emo in his own way. He's weird.
Crazy.
Yeah. You hear the song Clown, and it's him talking about how he got made fun of. So, like, he's talking about his feelings. Like, a lot of these bands are doing that, but it's like, you know what? Jonathan was the first really doing that. Jonathan was talking about Song Daddy, was talking about the abuse. Like he was talking about the real emotional shit that these bands are doing now, and it's like he was first. Back in the day when people were talking about Metallica, like bands like Metallica really weren't writing about much, honestly. They were just kind of writing whatever, politics, whatever, like Megadeth or whatever. But like they were the first band writing about real stuff happening, real feelings, you know. And that was the thing that I liked about them. Like this kid is going on stage. He's really kind of a freak in his own way, and that makes him unique. And all these guys are in dreads and jumpsuits, dying on stage. And everyone's jumping, like a sea of people jumping. Like I would have loved to have been a part of that more than anything today. I mean, if I could be there,
I would 100% take like mid to late 2000s metalcore scene.
I mean, yeah, granted,
because I wasn't really
right
in it. So I didn't go to my first show until 2011.
Right.
Warped Tour.
That makes sense. Yeah, I mean, I would probably do a lot of things differently in that era too. I would have probably wanted to get started in like 2005, 2007, personally, because the golden era of metalcore is probably 2003 to 2007. You think End of Heartache, As Daylight Dies, Shadows of Security, Messengers, Horizons. What else am I missing? Even those who were into it, like Internal Damnation from Becoming the Archetype, Demon Hunter Triptych, Demon Hunter Something Gets Hell. Demon Hunter is my favorite band. So that's my favorite band. I have kind of like different categories. It's like Korn, Demon Hunter, Thousand Crutch, or like my top three. Rock and positive, and then maybe not so positive kind of thing. So, but those are like my top three. Those are my top go-tos and everything. But yeah, like that era, I mean, Fall of Ideals, Overcome also too. Like there's that whole era when all those bands, Darkest Hour, even Darkest Hour is putting solid stuff. What's the band I keep forgetting about? Unearth, The Oncoming Storm. Holy crap! Like even like they are just nasty, and they really didn't get the recognition they deserve. Really, like they're good and they're solid, but they just didn't. So
Blood Runs Black, Brett.
Blood Runs Black was as black. That was when you listen to Allegiance, you're like, holy crap, this is so good. But it was such a staple at the time. Like you knew the scene was going to change listening to that record. When you see that video and how cheesy it is, when everyone goes chanting that one part in "As Fears My Fears Have Become Phobias," like that was like.
I know the albums ish.
Yeah, well, there's that one song.
The songs because
you know that one song. That song of "My Fears Have Become Phobias." When we are doing like ridiculous runs.
You mean their entire album?
Well, yeah, that's it.
Well, like the album, like I have Instinct in my car, and it literally doesn't stop. It just plays through the whole album. Like there's no breaks. It's one song goes right into the next song, into the next song.
Instinct was a little more of a letdown, though. To me,
I still like it.
It's good. It's definitely a little more of a letdown, especially live. I saw them one tour that I'm glad I played to some degree. It was Thrasher Burn 2011. I'd rather have played 2009, but.
Well, was this with their original members?
No.
Okay.
Like their original members all left. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the only one original was the vocalist and the drummer, obviously, and then it got to the point where the only one original was just the drummer. So it's one of those things that I was like, I miss them. But I never really saw them come through the East Coast as much, so I don't know. Maybe I just wasn't paying attention.
California, right?
Yeah, SoCal area. So maybe I just missed them. Maybe I wasn't paying attention. But like they started having issues like 2008, 2009. Yeah. So I probably would have not gotten to see them legitimately unless I was on that coast. Mm-hmm. So there's bands like that. There's the one thing that I'm going to regret probably is the fact that I never got to see the big shows I always wanted to see and that I would always talk about and want to go see, but I'd always trade it out for a girlfriend, mainly, my biggest issue, or a local show. Like, I think for every bigger tour package, I might have seen like 10 local shows in equivalents.
There's not really, there's not really like larger shows that I'm like dying to.
Yeah, no,
ever since.
Yeah, I'm looking at it now. Yeah, it's kind of like I'd rather go to local shows now, and that's what I do. And I enjoy hanging out and seeing my friends do their thing. But then back in like I remember this one I'll never ever forget because I was in my country town being one of the very few metalheads, everyone knew I'm serious. I was probably one of 50.
I wore a Bring Me the Horizon shirt to school one day, not even thinking about it. It's like 4 dog wolf things.
Yeah,
like,
yeah, okay.
Just blood dripping
that was like
down,
2008,
eating
yeah.
up. Yeah. So like I wore that to school one day, not thinking about it, and everyone's like, "Tanner, are you okay?" And I'm like, "What are you talking about? It's Bring Me the Horizon. What are you talking about?"
Yeah.
No one had a clue.
So like that was the thing. Like because I was like one of the very few metalheads, I found every metalhead in the school. Like they just all found me, kind of thing. Like if you listen to metal, I knew who you were in the school. Like there was not a person I didn't know in my high school that listened to metal. So I was kind of like bringing people to shows. I'm living in the country. It was a big deal when I would go walk around school with printed piece of paper. I'd go whatever to the library and use all their paper and get in trouble for it, and like give her out like, hey, we should go to this show. And it was one I found online during the MySpace days. Rip. As Dying, Demon Hunter co-headliner with Bless the Fall and War of Ages.
Sheesh.
Yeah, like 2010.
2010.
And it was 7 days after my birthday in Richmond. And instead of me going to it, where someone offered to buy my ticket, because it was a week after my birthday, literally. Because I was in a band sort of thing, high school band, you know how they all are. The drummer was a big As Dying fan. He loved Jordan Mancino, so that was his hero. So I was like, dude, As Dying's coming to Richmond. He's losing his shit. And he was like convincing his mom to buy tickets for all of us. And he's like, Robert told me about it, buy a ticket for him because it's his birthday a week, April 30th, and it was May 7th was the show. And may I mind you, it was 3 albums were being released in that year from 4 of those bands. It was the Powerless Rise tour. Mm-hmm. So that was Powerless Rise, was about to come out 3 days before that show, for one. It was May 10th when they released that. Demon Hunter released a record, which Demon Hunter's being my favorite band. That was one of the best records they put out, Worlds of Thorn. And I can't remember. I can't remember. I think it's Collapse or something like that. It's another one that War of Ages put out. And War of Ages has always been like good, but they kind of. And then Bless the Fall, which they were still on.
War of Ages is not to be mean or anything. They're really talented.
Yeah, but that's it.
A lot of their stuff sounds like
everybody else.
It's parts of everyone else.
Yeah, and
still really talented.
Yeah,
but
they're a good time.
How much August Burns Red can you put in your music before
you
just think it's August Burns Red?
Right, August Burns or As Dying, right?
Yeah.
Right. So there was bands like they were putting out a record, and then there was still I keep forgetting the name of the record. Not Bottom Feeders. Awakening. No, that's before Awakening. The second album from Bless the Fall, which was like the really good album.
Is that with or
Witness? Witness. That's the name of the album. Witness.
That's Mamet had already left, right? Craig Mamet, he was.
Yeah, he was only for the first record.
That's what I thought.
So this was the first record with Bo, and like that was my favorite record for them. It still is my favorite record. It was definitely him and time. So like everybody was playing music that was going to be loved, and I know so many people that are like, yeah, man, you couldn't know who was better. Everyone sounds solid. Like when As Dying played, nobody survived. Like there were 4 circle pits. Like the circle pits were so seen that people would be running and punching people on the outside of it. Like I was like, why did I not go? Why? There's bands like that. I can't remember. I can't even begin to tell you all the shows that I wish I could have gone. I had opportunity to play. I was offered to play in Maryland. Well, Washington D.C. to open up for As Dying's Decus tour when they're releasing that like 10-year anniversary or whatever album with Ghost Inside, Silasys, and a Russell Bear once. And I was like, right?
That's a band that I'm a little not upset, but I'm a little disappointed in myself for not seeing.
You have not seen them?
No.
You've missed out way too much.
They're one of my favorite bands now.
I'm
a little mad at myself for that.
I found them in 2010, and I remember the one song, "What do you stand for?" Da-da-da-da-da. I can't remember the name of the song, but when I heard that song, I was like, I'm hooked. I want to listen to them forever and ever. They were the best. I've seen them quite a few times, and it's an amazing because they're metal and they're hardcore, and they mix it, and they're heavy, and they're positive message, and it's everything you'd want in a band. Like I like metalcore riffs, I like hardcore riffs. They have a respect in the hardcore scene, they have a respect in the metalcore scene. They're the perfect crossover band. And like when you see them, and they've always put out good tours. They've brought Cruel Hand on tour, Stray from the Path on tour, just so many Stick to Your Guns on tour.
Stick to Your Guns, fucking awesome.
There's one tour that my friend went to. I was in California. Another tour that I wish I was there. He went to go see it with the drummer of the band we were in at the time, and it was the White Light tour. It was obviously it was Ghost Inside headlining with Rotting Out, Stick to Your Guns, and Straight from the Path. Now, talk about a stacked show. Like that show is chaos from the get go.
Yeah.
And Rotting Out, like he was bitter about something, like he lost a family member or something or whatever. And then Jonathan obviously was talking about his loss, and he dedicated the song White Light to Rotting Out's vocalist. And
he dedicated
a song.
That song's like losing his brother, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, so he dedicated that night to him, but obviously everybody knows, and people were crying at that show. Like I saw videos of people were crying at that show. It was insane. So there's like tours like that I miss. Another one I missed because I was in California was Asley Dying, Devil Wears Prada, The Chariot, and Col Morale. And then another one that was like a week after that was All Shall Perish, In Flames, and Demon Hunter. And I'm like, these are all the tours that if I could go back in time, I would go see and not do whatever I was doing. All of them. Like all those tours are tours that I just would have made the effort to go see. Because I've seen like Ice Jam Fest, I've seen different Scream Like Minutes, and I've seen stuff like that. There's a couple Scream the Prayers that I would have loved to see, honestly, more than anything. The 2012 Scream the Prayer, I bought tickets for and couldn't go because my car broke down, and I cried because Demon Hunter came to Richmond. Like Demon Hunter was one of those bands because they don't tour much that every time I knew they were within 5 hours, I would do whatever I can to try to make it, but never did. And it would I felt like part of myself die slowly. There was that tour. One tour that I'm really upset that I didn't go see was Scream the Prayer 2013, because it was it had pretty much most of the same bands they always see every year. There was Silent Planet on it. There was Gideon on it. There was My Children, My Bride. There was Fit for a King. But Impending Doom was headlining. Impending Doom.
Oh, Impending.
It's one of my favorite deathcore bands. So this year, I'm making the effort, whatever it takes, to go see them in Philadelphia. And I think it's Coal Fest. It's freaking Every Time I Die, Acacia Strain, and Impending Doom. No one's going to survive. I'm trying to get people to go with me because I'm pretty sure they're going to have to just throw my body in the back of the car.
Carry me out.
Yeah, exactly. I'll be dead. Like, I don't care. I'm going to sit back and watch, or be on the side halfway dead watching Acacia Strain and Every Time I Die, but no one's going to survive, or I'm not going to survive an Impending Doom pit. Impending Doom is ignorantly heavy, and that's like one of my favorite bands because I'm not really a big fan of like super dark lyrics. Like I like as a person as an artist, I like to find things turn positive. This is enough of anger. Everyone's releasing their anger, and I get it, but I think it's like taking that anger and trying to there's community in pain, and I'm coining that from Whit Wither, but whatever. But everyone's kind of finding there's something to connect to. Life sucks. Let's be honest. Life sucks. Life is
difficult.
Life is difficult. But it's rough for people, and let's be real. Everyone's going through something at some point in their life. It's good to get some positivity out of it. That's kind of why Demon Hunter's one of my favorite, because they talk about stuff like that. So Goes Inside too. Yeah, those.
Yeah.
One band that I also really regret not seeing for myself is No Bragging Rights.
So they popped up on my Pandora, and I listened, who the fuck is this band?
No, here's the thing,
they're so good.
Yeah, the thing is about it is I don't know what happened. I think they had wrecked their trailer in their van, and they just pretty much went on indefinite hiatus since then. But they put out the last time I put out, which is probably arguably my favorite. Cycles is good. The one before was good. They were metalcore to a T back 2009,
yeah.
And then they turned into poppy metal hardcore, Ghost Inside with poppy singing, basically, which is awesome. But I mean, they're more punk because they had a lot of great punk riffs. The Concrete Flower, if you have not listened to that record, listen to it front to back. It's beautiful. One of the songs on there, it really cemented my love for them because they have a song called Outdated, which it's ignorance. They have the one part where it's depression is a sickness, not a weakness. And now, like, when it hit that, it's like I feel that. And then they have another song on there at the end of the song where they're just kind of playing melodically. They have a movie clip from the Rocky Balboa movie where Rocky is talking to his son. And I'm like, like, they're just sharing some of those positive lyrics, and it just gets me all hyped. Like, I'm like doing posse jumps for days, like, listening to them. Like, that's the kind of stuff that I like. So, you know, how long have we been doing this? I'm curious. It's like an hour and a half, 2 hours, 10 hours, 12 hours.
Hour and a half.
Hour and a half. Cool.
I
So,
lose track so quickly.
no, that's cool. I just didn't know if you had any questions or anything you wanted to ask. Otherwise,
I was gonna get to your
yeah, okay. I mean, whenever you want.
real
Obviously.
quick. The Illist show.
Yes. Oh, okay.
You started talking about what? Is it like a week and a half before they just like hit you up?
Yeah, so with the Illist show, and I'll just give you a little shout out to them. I obviously still have connections with people in the Virginia scene. So Illist is comprised with people. The drummer used to be in a band called Bought by Blood back in the day. Lynchburg, Virginia, Liberty University, Christian Town. Sucks for them because it's Christian Town. The vocalist used to be in a band called Distant Shore and Contending, smaller bands, and then the bass player used to be in a band called Pathways. The guitarist has some other bands, but I'm not really sure. So I've known the drummer forever, and true story. Oh, gotcha. For a true story, you can actually look online. I've known the Lynchburg was for the longest time in the middle of my scene, like getting into scene days. Lynchburg was like my second home. It was Richmond and then Lynchburg. Because for me, Amelia is like in the middle between the two. Like it would take me an hour and a half, 2 hours to get to. Well, yeah, it would take me about an hour 10, hour 15 to get to Lynchburg and an hour to get to Richmond. So I'd go either direction. So they were like my two homes. So Lynchburg, there's after hanging out with a bunch of bands back in the day, and also growing up in a Christian home, I kind of still lean towards those principles. Maybe not believing it, but still the kind of morals and principles, or at least try to. So there's a band called Bought by Blood, and circles. We all knew each other from other bands. You know, he saw Pray for Naft's life. I followed Blood of the Martyrs. Blah blah blah. We ended up becoming good friends with the drummer, a guy named Cecil Johnson. And he was like, Rob, I love you so much. I love your support. For us, I want you to be in our music video. So I was in the music video for one of their songs, Restoration. So I'm playing like a evil pastor or something. But so I've stayed really close to them. And so we've always known, we've played a couple shows together. We've followed each other's music. And it was one of those things that they booked a show and they're trying to break into this market. Other markets other than anything other than Lynchburg, basically.
Yeah, just trying to expand.
Yeah, so, and they knew I moved down here, and they were booked a show, obviously with Slaughter to Prevail, and I saw that I was going to go see them, of course, but they didn't realize that it was the same night as the Day to Remember, they didn't realize the guitarist had to go to Arizona for something. So, they were kind of scrounging around looking for someone that could play. They were going to talk to this one guy in Maryland, and then they're like, Rob's in North Carolina. The guitar player was like, Rob's in North Carolina. He lives like 40 minutes from the venue, and he's already played down there. Because with my previous band, Pathios, we already played with Crank It Loud twice. We played with Secrets, and then we played with Fit for a King. And we played a couple times with Dylan Jones with Blind Path. So I've already kind of played. I played like 5 shows in North Carolina, 5 shows in Virginia with Pathios. So I people knew of me, kind of thing. So they were like, Rob, I know you could play the stuff, and we just need you. And I was like, I'll do it. Hustled as hard as I could. So kind of like right now, my relationship with them is like I'm like whenever they need, if they want to play more shows and they want to play out here, if they need a fill-in, then I'll play other stuff. So that's kind of like they want to start playing more actively, but they want to keep playing more actively out of the area. So if they're going to Richmond, which of course my connection's Richmond or North Carolina or whatever. They're going to be asking me if they need to fill in. You know, that's even, I'm not going to fully, put it out there, but I think they're even trying to play a couple shows in South Carolina with a few bands that I know. Trying to play down that way, and because I'm connecting those kind of bands together, that I may, be going with them. So I'm kind of like their cheerleader, hype man, so to speak, right now. But just if they need someone, I'm there. Because I know. Obviously, I know the bass parts because the guitar mostly translates over, and then obviously know the guitar. So my relationship with them is just because like they're some of my closest friends. So that's honestly, that was kind of like spark to keep doing this again. Because when Pathos ended, there was a lot of personal stuff that happened, and I just stopped.
Yeah.
So, and got into a bad depression, gained so much weight, life sucked, work sucked. So, and I've kind of just forced myself out of it. It's been rough, but pretty happy about it. But Illist is kind of like, I look up to the drummer. I mean, he's been around. I mean, it's also kind of an interesting phenomenon with him because he's like 42 and he's playing drums in a metal band and everybody else is in the 20s. And, you know, it's something to laugh at. I mean, some people laugh at it, but it's like the love that someone has that, you know, he's done this time in the scene. He's been doing this for years in different kinds of bands and jams, all kinds of artists, that he loves doing metal. And it's like something I'm going to respect, where he's so talented and so underrated, and he's a solid drummer. He's played with jams bands, he's done church, he's done all kinds of stuff where he could do so much more, but he only wants to do what gets him excited. You know, he can make money doing wedding bands and stuff. He's done all kinds of stuff, but he loves playing metal. Yeah, exactly.
Paid.
Exactly.
Paid.
In his area, they just church stuff because it's Christian town. Yeah. So that's the thing. Like, he can do it, and he's, you know, but he loves doing metal, and that's like, I have the utmost respect because he just has a love for the metal scene that's unreal, that you don't see. You know, he doesn't really gloat about it or whatever, but he's, you know, anytime bands come through the area, they stay with him. Like Dayseeker has kind of stayed with them a few times, and things like Gideon stayed with them a couple times, like bands like that, you know, but he doesn't like put it up there, and I don't know how he feels about me sharing it, but it is what it is. So too bad. So, but that's kind of my relationship with them. And that's kind of sparked for me to be working to kind of pick up my other musical endeavors. I don't know what's going to be the extent of me playing out. I would love to make it more what it is, but I'm definitely not going to be starting any more bands unless I somehow can relaunch Pathos, because there's still enough with that. But I'm not going to be starting any more bands. I've started the 5 bands I was in. I've started 4 of them. It's exhausting. It's just like going through the bygones, the thousands of dollars, everybody else kind of like, because I'm the dad business guy in the band. That's just how I am. I'm the one that pushes the band, promotes it. That's my life. I mean, I want to tour. I want to do that life. You know, I've been through a lot and sacrificed a lot. I want to do that thing. But, I mean, I may not make it, but it's one of those things that I've got to try. Well, if I still be able to, I'm going to try. But so Illist is kind of like what inspired me to get back into it. And if they need me for a show, and if they tour, I'll do it. But I'm just kidding. But no. But if, you know, if they ever need me for anything, I'm going to be there for them, and I'm trying to help them, support them. And they honestly have got some really stuff on the low that I can't share, that of course I know because but I know that it's, yeah, of course, yeah, that kind of thing, like the, you know, rubbing elbows thing. But there's some really good stuff that they're got going on. They put a lot of investment with their stuff, and that's something that I love. I love seeing a band that really wants to perfect their craft, and they want to make it as art. And I think, like, and I'm not knocking anybody that does this, but there's a lot of bands that like to just want to throw music out there so they can play shows, so they can drink with their friends. And I guess in a way, a glorified excuse to get out of the house, which, if that's your thing, go for it. But, you know, but my thing is,
Life's a party.
Yeah, right? I mean, you got to party some way, right? But the thing that got me inspired as a musician is that I grew up on a country farm in the country where everyone listened, like, it was hay, chickens, or everyone listening to freaking Dwight Yoakam around me. Like, Dwight Yoakam, Charlie Daniels, Randy Travis was all around me all the time. And even though they're all good, but that's the point. What got me to get out of my town, and honestly 90% of where I've gone in my life, is because I picked up an instrument. The jobs I've taken, like, it's just crazy to me. Like, I've met people that were like, oh, we played a show together, let me get you a job with me, and then that led me to doing this, and that got me to move to different places, see new things. You know, I would still be stuck on that country farm with nowhere to go without picking up an instrument. So for me, like, I want to use what I do to inspire or to motivate or to really, like, play out and kind of give some the same kind of feelings I got when I was seeing my friends play. To do it is the same stuff I want to kind of give back. And I think, like, in this day and age, just so much young talent out there that can really make moves, like Heirloom. Like, those guys are talented, and I think the oldest guy is Nolan, and he's 24, 25, if I'm correct. I know the drummer, the bassist, and the guitarist are like within the 18, 21. Yeah,
I believe that.
but they're all talented. Like, they're really talented, and they have a lot to offer, and that's the kind of thing. It's like seeing artists and musicians like that. There's a lot of hope, a lot of excitement to it, you know. So seeing that, and that's one of the things that I want to do, and I'm trying to do in my own way, regardless if people see it or not. That's kind of what inspires me to do it. So when I see a band like Illist, which, again, same weird dynamic, drummers almost twice their age, but the other guys are 23, 24, and 26 in that range, I think, if I'm correct. They are really investing into perfecting the craft. Like, they get their music recorded and mixed mastered by a guy named Zach Jones, who used to be in My Enemies and I. And he's top-notch dollar. Like, he works with Fearless Records, because he was on Fearless Records with his band. So they invest $1,000 to record the music with them. Their music video guy is like maybe $3,000-$4,000 a music video. So they investing a lot in their brand, a lot of their music, and that's what I love. I love someone that really wants to like perfect their sound, but also perfect. It's an art form. So, and that's something that inspires me. That was like, for me, Demon Hunter. Like, not many people know about them, but that's the thing that got me into them, is that they didn't tour much. They're not the best sounding band. Sure, there's bands that can wipe the floor with them musically, but they cared about their fans. They cared about their art. They had amazing art. They have amazing like incentives for the package, and their community is something that, you know, really reached out to me. It was one of those things. I saw Demon Hunter for the first time in 2013 at a festival, and I went to this festival, and luckily I went and got in for free. And you know, everybody was there for Demon Hunter because everyone was there for Demon Hunter, had Demon Hunter merch covered. I'm serious. Like, you'd see their Demon Hunter tattoos, you would see their shirts, you would see Demon Hunter bandanas. Like, everyone was decked out for Demon Hunter. And then when they played, everybody, I remember this one song, which is like, it's like 15 years old now. A song called My Heart's Been Come Undone. Like, a bunch of us people in the front row grabbed arm in arm and sang as loud as we could to this song. And that moment made me feel like this is community. You know, like, as weird as it is, you're seeing this band and they're in their 40s doing their thing, but you're seeing 200-300 people at the front of their stage, specifically for them, covered in Demon Hunter merch. Literally, they're like, man, I drove from Texas to see Demon Hunter. I'm like, Texas? Like, yeah, they don't play often. So, like, I'm going to go see Demon Hunter in Illinois this year. Because, yeah, because they're doing something I've never seen them do. They're doing a 2-hour just them.
That's Illinois, that's a 10-hour drive right
12.
there.
12? Yeah, it's 12 hours. So, and it's like, they're one of those bands that inspired me. They, you know, inspired me to write music. They inspired me to be a musician. They inspired me not, you know, to take my own life. They've been there, and that's kind of what I want to give back as a musician. So they're one of those bands that I want to do that, to go see like that, and that's kind of what inspired me. So, but yeah, that's a long rant about Illist, and I guess how that all connects.
Did you just do a music video, right?
No. So you know a little bit about that. I wasn't going to share exactly all of that, but I might as well. So obviously I met
some music.
Yeah. So I met, funny enough, and I might as well just say it for those who see it. I'm going to be releasing a music video first week of September, and it's actually a long time ago. I've never shared that. I'm not sharing that in public yet, mainly because I'm waiting. We did it with Jaden Frost. Yeah, so for 25 people.
25 people. They all know.
I'll share to more people than that, because that's what I do. I always also share people who are doing things. Just gotta support each other, right? So I did a music video in February, and that's how actually I ultimately put face to face with Chris Taylor and Alex. She likes. I think she's one called Allie.
I call her Allie. So.
Yeah, I think most people do. So with Allie, that's how she's in the music video.
Yeah. Yeah.
So. And that actually comes to my solo project, which is a project called Life Renewed. The EP's 5 years old. I'm gonna be honest. It's a true stamp in time. When I was writing riffs, like what to inspire me, it's just I put it on a shelf because I put out one song, I put it on SoundCloud, and then a band's like, "We love your riffs. Can you join the band?" Got swept up to that, and then when that band ended, a kid came to me and to record his EP, and then he asked me to be in that band. So I kind of was like, I had this stuff on the shelf, kind of like, it's there, and I want to do something with it, but then I'm being picked up in the band life. So that consumed my time, my money, and everything. So I've had this stuff material. And when I was talking about earlier, that whole like year-esque that I was kind of out of the scene, after the whole events with Asla dying and stuff. That's what I was kind of doing. I was doing that project. So I have a whole EP, and since I've blown out my vocals, there was a time in life where I actually was a screamer. I sucked at it. If you want to have,
Join the club.
Yeah, so if you know, trust me, I've heard you scream. I was sorry af. Like, go listen to it, Pay for Enough Live online. The only song worth listening to, in my opinion, is One Within, because that was my best performance. But Stylist, still proud of it. Musically sounded amazing. My vocals sucked ass. That was the word. Literally the word. At that time, that was what everyone would say. Band's amazing, music's amazing, production of the song is amazing. Screamer sucks. Everybody. It was a unanimous thing. It was very depressing. But because I was a guitarist turned vocalist for that project, but I'm not going to get the history of that. That's 6 years ago. But if you want to listen to it, you can put it up there, whatever. That was one of those things that when I was writing that, I was, in the mix of all this band stuff, I always wanted to go back to it. But now that I'm at a point where it's like, I don't really know if I'm going to do the band thing anymore. And I say that, but what's going to happen is I'm going to start putting music out and someone's going to try to pick me up. But in all seriousness, I don't know. I mean, I'm grateful that I got to play this year. I'm grateful that I get to play. And I used to take it for granted. And I look back and I'm like, yeah, I should have never, ever taken it for granted, because it really is an amazing feeling. Like, what it's like to finally.
It's been 7 months.
That's what it was. It was, yeah, right? It was November 5th was my last show with Pathos.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to get to the reason why that was, but it basically was like 8 months from that to with Illist. So it felt like playing that show. It felt like it was like the first show I ever played. A lot of. I was really shocked. I was blown away that even Russell came out for it. I was really like, you're coming, and he liked it, and it was like, I mean, I love Russell. Like he's got one of my favorite voices around here. Like I had to go see them play when they played with Nova Mortis, because like of all the bands that night, that everyone did a super solid job. Just seeing Russell on stage, he's just a freak of nature, really. Like, he has no fault in composure. Like, he could sing, do his own thing. I don't think he misses a note. Like, you don't hear his voice. You know how sometimes when you scream and you get over distorted, or like he has perfect tonality. I'm like, and his singing is so unreal. Like, honestly, Black Plate is a great studio, but not even they can capture how good Russell is, really. And that's the one thing that blew me away when I saw him when you guys played with him with Aragon. Russ, like, I had people saying like, they're okay, but I was like, you know what, I'm gonna listen to him. But just Russell just blew my mind. He's such a nice guy. He's funny. I was supposed to do his show, and it was really, I love what it would trip me out. He was like, Russell Deluxe, like he would do it like that. It would trip me out. But it's things like that seeing people that I never seen in a long time come see me play. I felt like it was my first time playing a show ever. So, but basically with my not knowing my future with being in bands, I'm picking up Live From Now as a project. The thing about that is, being that I was talking about vocals, I have everybody's a guest vocalist.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not on the I am not, my voice is not on the record. But this is also a big one for me, because this is my first full EP I've recorded, mixed and mastered myself. So this is a big one out there for me. The song specifically that the music video is going to be released for is it has my friend in a band a long time ago, Robert Short, and then one of the bands in Lynchburg I was friends with a long time ago, Jared Booker. So I have like 2 to 4 vocalists per song depending on which song it is. So it's definitely different. Some of the people like don't even do music anymore. That's how much of a stamp of time it was. So I have like I'm actually trying to get Dylan Barham, I think it's Barham. He's in Discerner. He's the vocalist. Yeah, I got a song that I'm trying to get him on. I'm working on that. I've talked to Justin from Fear of the Indifference. It's just a matter of time now. And it's also, this is a positive message EP. I definitely have other solo project work that I want to put out, just because of I've so much material written that I'm just at the point where it's like, I'm just going to start recording and throw it out there. If you like it, you like it. You don't, you don't. Some of it I'm going to push hard. Some of it I'm going to just, it's there. It's part of my, I've even thought about maybe just having these riffs and be like, you know what, if anyone in the band needs some stuff, just take it. Like, I'm never going to use it. I'm never going to play it live, but use it. So I've considered that as an option, because, large part of my studio is helping my friends that are like up and coming artists get their music out there. And that's what it was, a band called Oh House of Jacob back in the day, back 3-4 years ago. That's what I did for them. So kind of recorded the EP, and then they got out there playing shows. So So that's what I'm doing with the solo EP. At 7 songs. I think I've right now counting 14 guest vocals on it. It's my EP. I do what I want, but no, seriously, like every song. And the thing about it I like, but I'm really hoping that people dig about it, is that every song's different. Like, it's weird. Every song, sonically and musically structured, is a different song. Like, I have like a thrashy metalcore song. I have a progressive genty song. I have my take, and I'm going to be very careful saying my take of a hardcore beatdown song. I'm going to take that very lightly because I can't write that style. I feel like I can't. It's cool guy riffs. That's what I call them. Like those that's what I call them. I know that sounds weird, and it's not like
tough guy riffs.
Tough guy. That same thing. Like, I feel like I can't write that kind of stuff. Like, I would love to be able to write stuff like Discerner, or someone that does stuff like. I just feel like I can't. Maybe. So I call them cool guy riffs. I'm like, you have to be cool to write them. So I call them cool guy riffs. But it's the same kind of thing. Tough guy riffs. So I have a song that has that kind of vibe. But you're going to hear, most people are going to hear the EP, and it's going to be a stamp in time. Because this is, to me, or at least maybe it's my subjectiveness to it. To me, this EP is going to be like, man, this sounds like this band. Like, I'm not going to lie, there are some bands that you could almost blatantly point out the influence. Like, and I could pinpoint it to you accurately as well. I have one song that's influenced by Forevermore. I don't know if you're familiar who they are or not. And I respect that the vocalist Kramer is from Charlotte. So I have one band that's got a Demon Hunter influence, which is actually the song that has the music video. Mm-hmm. I have one that's Being as an Ocean, so to speak. And then I have one where it's spoken word. So I feel like doing weird stuff with this. I just kind of want to expand what I can do and just kind of like share what I'm feeling. And the cool thing about this is that I'm not really writing the lyrics for this at all either. I'm not performing the lyrics or writing them. I'm basically basically the concept is,
say a positive message.
Yeah. So it's kind of cool. I'm kind of like, I got a concept. This is a 7-song EP, and the EP it's called Launching from Ground Zero. And that's kind of where I was also in my life, where I'm looking at the duality of things. So most of these songs are going to have like for the song with the music video, it's Vision, Revision. And that song actually, that's going to mean a lot to me more than anything, because without giving away details of the music video, because the music video is, I don't know, you probably haven't seen it, but you probably obviously heard it from Allie. It's going to talk about suicide awareness. So I'm not going to give any more details than that. But that song, I went the works for that because obviously that's a big thing right now, and a big thing on my heart as well, to help people with mental health and depression and stuff. So even though it's not just, a Christian moral positive, it's also like something most people can relate to, for sure. And especially in the past, I feel like we're having these conversations the past 3 years now on a local level. And I've lost a couple friends to suicide, and I've known people that have committed suicide. It's kind of like, it's weird enough even to say, like, I was still living in Richmond, but I was doing a job in Raleigh the day when I found out. Like, I literally was working with a company. They had me do a job down here in a week, kind of like, you got to go down there and do a job. And I went into the hotel, I was extended stay right there by the Crabtree, and I just literally working all day, did not even look at my phone, did not even Facebook, which is a miracle for me, right? I get and sit down, and I had chemical burns on my arms. Like, I had boils on my arms from a chemical burn for what I do, and I'm in pain, right? So I got a bunch of ointment, and I look at my phone, and all I see is Chester Bennington passed away. Bennington passed away. And I'm like, what is happening? This can't be happening. I haven't been on Facebook, and then one of my favorite vocalists from one of my favorite bands is gone. Like, what? And it wrecked me, because I was like, okay, I don't know him personally, and I never got to see Linkin Park, but something like that hits really close to home, and then you hear about other people hit home. There's this one song that we did with O House of Jacob, and I used to have the wristbands for it, but a cool story with that project is this kid was in the country, kind of same situation, grew up near where I used to grow up, found me through circles. He recorded me, never done vocals, never been in a band. He was kind of in the same scenario, country town, one of very few metalheads, kind of had to get out of the country where, all they had was like a Save-A-Lot. It was like the grocery store of the town with 2,000 people. He came to me, recorded an EP, and he was trying to pay for it. And one of his mentors was actually one of his best friend's dad. and it was basically a thing called Corey's program where he took the money from that and gave it to him to record it, because he dedicated a song where Brendan, I'm just kidding, his name's Brendan Smith, the guy that came to record with me, his friend Corey, in middle school, he was, I believe, 8th grade, out of respect, I think it was 8th grade, he got bullied, and then his girlfriend broke up with him at the time and told him that he was worthless and he committed suicide. So that hit both of us really close, and we had a song talking about that, and he sharing that for him. And it impacted him because him and Corey like grew up together. So it's one of those things that knowing people that were impacted and knowing people that were close to it, it really impacts me really close. So that's kind of why that song's really important. So I kind of want to do that because, I don't want to be like like every other musician, please listen to my music, please share it. Yeah, but that one is really important because I know there's certain people that do struggle with it and people don't talk about it, and music's a great voice to hear it, If you think about it, like Linkin Park, he was talking about it for years,
Yeah, I think it came out that he'd been struggling with it since he was a teenager. So
when you think about it, he was been crying about it in his music. He's been sharing it through his music all these years, and I feel like we never listened, And I mean, what can I do, right? But, what can we really do? What could have we done? Because we're just listeners out there on the other side of the country. I'm not the other side of the world. But music's a great place for people to, like, actually kind of, like, meet in the middle, this community in pain. Someone's sharing, someone's feeling or did feel or does feel, or preventing that someone will, And that's kind of the thing that song is specifically important for me. The rest of it, honestly, if that song, that video can impact somebody, I don't care about the rest of the EP. And I mean that as funny as it is, as I can honestly say, if you want, I can actually share with you when I get back. I got to go to Asheville today. I'll be for the weekend for work. But if you actually, I can kind of share a little. I don't know if you're going to do like you did with Discoveries, where you had a little sample of the music. I'll share like a little sample, fully unmixed, that of just the song, just to kind of sample it in. I'm not going to put vocals in it though, because I want to give some sort of element of surprise. I've definitely worked on it really hard, and being the guy that's producing it, I'm way too subjective. I'm way too personal with it. So, but yeah, that's basically one of the things I'm in the work with. Pathos, I'm kind of have it, but it's going to be like I'm releasing that EP out there because there's material used that it's not meant for any other project, and it was really good music. We have a song. I have a song that I recorded called Crow. And it's where we play live. It's actually a video on YouTube with it. It's actually got the vocalist from Kingdom of Giants on it featured.
Okay.
So that's something I'm going to be releasing too, and probably towards the end of the year. I'm going to feel a lot more confident when I can actually put out this EP that's been on my shelf for 5 years. And even though I'm going to be like, I kind of have to commit to it. That's the worst part about being a critical musician with a chip on my shoulder about kind of finally being able to do something on my own. And then people be like, whether it sticks or not, But I feel like there's the concept of the EP is really like a person trying to find themselves, the duality of the struggle. The one song, like, give you a couple of title names, like this one, Backbreaker, Spirit Waker, which is kind of like this. What I did with that is like I kind of gave my idea of what the song. I would try to write a song that I was feeling, the kind of message. Like I would want to hear. Sometimes you ever heard a song like the lyrics, like the message hits home and then the music hits home with it? Like you ever had a song like that? That's like, yeah. So everybody, I'm sure everybody is.
That's like the perfect combo, yeah.
Yeah, and that's what I was trying to do with this, where I wrote a song where the vibe of it fits, like Backbreaker, and then you're having a song that's like two-steppy and tough guy riffs, like Backbreaker. It kind of puts like, this is supposed to be like releasing anger, and the song's like being angry and bitter at the world and realizing that you can't fight the world and you gotta open up your mind and heart to bigger things than just trying to be the toughest guy or to put on a front. That's what that song's about. And Vision Revision is like your mind stuck in the idea of depression and suicide is the only way out, and then you got to feel like there's more purpose to it. Vision Revision. So there's different songs that have kind of like this concept of, if you're down to nothing in your life, if you're really hit rock bottom, and you got to really sort out what you've been through and what you can become of it. You definitely a defining moment for your life. I feel like everybody goes through a point in their life where they're like, all right, I can either do this with all this, or I can go, make something better. And, I spend I feel like even though this music is at a stamp in time like 5 years old, I feel like now personally it makes sense to release it because I've kind of gone through that where I've done the partying, I've done the stupid stuff, I've done the homeless thing, I've done stupid stuff in my life, and I've had to have those moments where it's like, what am I going to do in my life? Am I going to keep jumping into trash cans or messing around with people or hurting people's feelings or being a bad person, or am I going to do something with my life? And right now releasing the EP just makes sense because I feel like I'm trying to be the best person I can be, and the music will hopefully reflect that. So, and having the perception of this music and the idea of the message with the music and allowing someone else say the story is kind of a cool concept to me. It's kind of like, I love hearing the fact that here's my idea, you throw lyrics to it.
You kind of get to take a back seat.
Yeah, because I'm not really...
feel it too.
Yeah, so, and that's why I love about, and to be honest, the song with the music video, it wasn't exactly that perception. I gave the screamer an idea, and the screamer an idea about it, and actually he ran with it. And the thing is, some of these people have never met each other. They recorded it, like the vocalist, the singer on the song, recorded his in New England. He lives in New Hampshire. So they never met each other. Mm-hmm. They knew about each other. They knew about each other's bands, but they never met each other. They never exchanged notes. They were just like, I wrote my part to this, I wrote part to that, and they put it together. And it was so organic and genuine, and that song just hit home for me personally because of that. And the cool thing about this music video, and I'll give one other tidbit to it, is that it's not a performance music video. It's literally a story music video. So it's really, for me, I'm in the music video, whatever, but the actual story being played out is actually a true story. So in this music video, when you watch it, and I could send it to you, it's not fully done yet. It's almost there, but this music video actually, at least my part of it, because it's split in two different perspectives, which is why Allie's in it. My perspective of it was actually true story. It actually physically happened with the same exact person who's in that video. There's a video, a guy stopping me. I'm not going to I'm trying not to tell everything about it, but basically me doing exactly what I did that's a situation in my life 5-6 years ago, and then the same exact person who's in a music video that's trying to stop me from that incident is the same exact person who actually did it in real life. Mm-hmm. So this is like life imitating art imitating life, where like I'm sharing part of my story without trying to say it's publicly me, but this actually physically happened, at least on my side of it. So I wanted to kind of share, like, in a way, without verbally throwing on Facebook or whatever, this is real life. This happens, and you don't know that's happening. You don't know if it did happen. And it's one of those things that I think, like, I really hope that... I think sometimes we really take for granted other people, and we don't really know, like, how much we can have an impact, and then we see it and it's like, maybe our words... Sometimes you feel like you're not being heard, or sometimes you feel like you don't matter as much to your friends or whatever. I think, like, I want people to kind of open up their hearts and mind, knowing that you really do have an impact, good and bad. And, you know, and I'm grateful for the people that did stop me and did help me, and the people that care about, that listen to me talk an hour and a half, that things like that. I am grateful that I get to do this and play and be anything that I'm doing now. I'm grateful for it. So, but yeah, the EP, the music video is going to come out first, and then the EP will probably be a month to follow. I'm going to be doing some teaser videos. I got some stuff, and I'm not going to share it all out there, but, you know, I want to give it like a legit release, but then, you know, I'm kind of trying to promote the vocalists at the time, or the vocalists now that are involved, and kind of get their name out there and share it. Because, you know, when you think about it, everybody's sharing, you know, that's the whole point of, like, having guest vocalists. You're having, hey, I love this band, or love this vocalist.
I scout too much.
Gotcha. I love this vocalist and I love this band, and now you're part of it, and it just kind of gets you inspired. So you never know who's really, like, reaching, you know, who you can reach and just check out, you know, whose music, you know. Because that's kind of how I found out a lot of people's, that's how I found out about a lot of the bands that I follow, is from hearing their vocalists. Like, I was listening to rock, and before I got into metal, I heard the vocalist of one of my favorite rock bands was in a metal band song, which was Demon Hunter, and then followed Demon Hunter. Or I found, like, oh, Howard Jones was in a Demon Hunter song, or something like that. Or just, it's interesting, we find some of our favorite bands. I found out more. I started paying attention more to Memphis May Fire when Maddie was on a Fit for a King song. Back and forth, you see all this. Like, so I feel like I'd like to be like, hey, these are my friends. These are people I really like, support their project too, and they added their voice to my art. So they're part of my art, I'm part of theirs. So this is going to be pretty cool. I've thought about doing other things, but it's all kind of in the air conjuncture work. So do you have anything else you want to ask?
Dude, not really.
No, I think I pretty much. I'm motor mouth, so I share everything.
No,
So.
it makes my job pretty easy. I can just sit back and listen.
Yeah, that's cool. I wonder how many people will sit back and listen to it.
Hopefully, a few.
Hopefully, yeah, for sure. And I appreciate that. Yeah, definitely. For you, send me if you're doing anything for sure. I try to follow. It's hard to. It's weird. It's harder now to follow everybody than it used to be. It's weird because I was more involved with the scene 5, 6, 7 years ago, and to me, I feel like there were way more bands then than there are now. But I'm having a harder time. Sometimes I'll be like, Kevin, who's playing this week? Dylan, who's playing this week? I missed Never I playing Tuesday. I love Never I.
I heard about them. I think I first heard about them from Marcus for Fear the Indifference. And then
That's a good guy.
Reason to Find.
Okay, Reason to Find is good.
And I finally one day I was like, I'm just gonna check them out. And I listened to shit. I'm like, fuck, this is good. I was like, holy crap.
Never I is amazing. And one of the bands that kind of got me really wanting to come down here more often was Heft.
Okay, yeah.
So about 3 years ago, I mean, I've always followed bands here. Obviously, like I was talking about with the stories with Valleys and Croesus and stuff like that. One of the things that I filled in for a weekend, and they don't like really talking about or sharing it, from a band called Revenant from the Virginia Beach area. Really, really good stuff. I've known the guitar player forever, since like 2010. His old band and our band played a couple shows together, and that guy, Jeremy Anderson, and I actually shared a studio spot. Like where his band records and some of my bands recorded. So I've known him for a very long time. But they don't really talk about it, but I filled in for a weekend. His first weekend with the band, I filled in on bass last minute. Like I learned the stuff in like a day. So, and one of the dates, and it was with a band called Pathway Home, so as I talked about earlier, we actually went down to Granite Falls and played at the rec center that Mikey French. Actually, I'm about to go see him in a few hours. Gotta get something from him. So, Mikey, if you see this, hear this. Why do I see your podcast? Hear this. Whatever.
You can watch on YouTube.
Can you?
Yeah. There's no video.
Oh, I was about to say.
It's just the logo.
Oh, that's
you can
cool.
watch it if you want.
That's cool. That's technology. I swear, it's so interesting. But no, we went down there to Granite Falls and played a show. The two events in that weekend run, and it was at Granite Falls Rec Center, and that place was awesome. Just a simple DIY setup by Mikey French for Heft, and that place was packed. So that was one of the reasons I wanted to come down here for shows, because I always heard about Volume 11 and Green Street Club and Arizona Pete's, and I heard about all these Lincoln Theater, and I was went to a couple shows to all those different places. So I always wanted to know more about the scene down here. So now I'm here. Probably a little too late, but I'm here. So
Volume 11's no longer Volume 11.
It's now Maywood. It's now Maywood. So I think correct. Am I correct on that? Yeah, I think so. Yeah, of course. Yeah, duh. Yeah. So, but I mean, the one venue that I always heard about and never went was obviously Drunk Horse. Of course, they changed locations. So Drunk Horse Pub was in Fayetteville. Yeah, it was in one different location with the Rock Shop, and then now it's the location it's at now. Yeah. So that was one that I never got to go to, and you really wish I could have, but I also heard that it was better not to. I don't know.
I've heard that a few times too.
Yeah, so I'm not sure. I'll take whoever says that. I'll take your word for it. But
where they got it now is the best so far.
I love the Drunk Horse Pub. It's probably my favorite, honestly. And maybe I'm biased because I played there a couple times, but I definitely enjoy it. I've definitely seen some of my favorite shows I've seen down here was definitely there. It's one of those places where you can see pretty decently sized bands at a small, intimate place like that. One of the first times I actually went to Drunk Horse is when Discoveries and Croesus opened up for Within the Ruins. And that show was stacked, like so dumb. It was freaking Within the Ruins headline, which is whatever. I love Within the Ruins, but I grew out of them too because everything for the last 4 or 5 albums sounds the same. It was them, Aversion's Crown, Currents, and another band. Now, Aversion's Crown kind of blew my mind for the night, but still, like, that was one of the first shows, and I was like, 150 people there, 150 people there. It was a super solid show. It's definitely one of those, like, I liked, and that would make me like, I really like this venue. And I've always enjoyed it, you know. That's kind of like stomping grounds for Dylan Jones, and Dylan Jones is the best. Dylan McKay Jones. I know there's another Dylan Jones out there, but Dylan McKay Jones, Blind Path Booking, like, I'm really stoked. You know, I'm glad to have met him, and he gave me a shot with Pathos, and I absolutely love, you know, what he does with those shows. You know, he does his festival, he does, like, once a year in this winter, and, you know, and then when his band plays, of course, you know, which is always fun. So Dylan's just a cute boy. he's great. So he's probably one of the most supportive people I've met around here in the music scene. Like him, Kevin, Russell, definitely, like, it kind of makes me inspired, honestly, to being around people like that. That really, Justin Alexander is definitely another person that's super supportive. So it's really cool. Justin Wagner, another one. I'm really excited for what he's doing. There's just so many bands, like, and there really is, the thing about it, there's so much talent down here too. It's not even just so many bands. It's like, here's one thing, seeing a bunch of bands and then seeing a bunch of bands that everyone's super talented and the bands are talented, that's even cooler. Because then you can go to a show, like, you go to Kings and see Valleys, Firma, and Dear Desolate, and that's just a stacked show as it is. Or you go see, like, the show I was talking about where I saw you guys, like, that was, you know, through all this time sick, and one of the things that blew my mind about that show is, like, that was like one of the very few local shows, because I did go to a couple shows that were like tour package and there was a local band, and I'm all Freaks, that's
that was
it.
The name of it.
I
Freaks.
saw them at, okay, that's another band that I need to, I don't know what they're doing, and it upset me because
I haven't heard their name since that show.
I think I saw their first show. It was at the No Devil Lived On. Yeah, they were insane, and I loved what they were doing. And I don't know. That was like the only time I've seen them, and they were sick. And that was even a fun show. That show back June last year. Disco, Consolation. What was that one band from like South Carolina? Not Basilica. They're like tough, like beat down hardcore, really good. I can't even remember who else was on that show. It was such a great show too. It was so much fun, and but yeah, that's a band I like. Seeking Souls is talented. The guys in No Devil Lived On. Like, there's so many talented, really good musicians around here. Most of them way better than me. I can honestly admit that. Like, some of them, like, damn, you know, like especially like the Boys in Crosses. Like, I think like Brandon's only been playing like 8 years now. And I've been playing like 11, and like Brandon can like I need to just like give him all my gear, like whatever. Those guys. Yeah. No, but that's the thing that's cool. It's like, you know, because honestly, to me, if you're playing an instrument, that's your way to release your feelings, and whether you're stressed or, you know, it really is inspiring. Honestly, like, I feel like there's a science to people who play their instrument or perform or vocals, that they just start like. They improving their lives by doing it, investing into their time with an instrument too, and it's really cool to see people that do that. So, but yeah, I appreciate it. We'll probably end it there because I think I've pretty much got to the point where I'm getting like cotton mouth now.
Oh, dude, if you
no, I'm good. I'm good. No, it's cool. I do have to be heading up the road because I got to hit to Asheville. And that's like a 4-hour drive. So.
Yeah, I did the Asheville drive. Fuck, we played a show in December, headlined that show. It was our second show. We had it was kind of like a last minute show put together. We were asked to headline. I was like, yeah, you know, we'll headline it. And so I didn't get back here till like 2 a.m. Worked at 4:30. Worked to 11, and then immediately left from work and drove 4 hours to Asheville. I was like driving, I'm like, ooh, I should have taken a nap. Fuck.
Those kind of nights and those kind of drives are crazy. I remember. So there's a couple of ones I had like that. I will never forget it. It was a crazy week, like half a week. So I still had to fit my schedule, because I do restoration, like water damage, mold remediation, sewage cleanup, whatever. So a lot of it is like emergency. Like I can get a phone call right now and I have to go. It sucks. But I booked 2 shows, one in Richmond at Canal Club, and one at Drunk Horse Pub, back to back. Wednesday and Thursday, which is push. And of course, I was the guy that annoys everybody for ticket sales and posts on every website. I'm that guy. But so we play with, and talk about 2, like I think that was like the pinnacle for what I've done, as well as Pathos did. That was the pinnacle for all of us, because we played back to back. It was Within the Ruins, Phineas. When I said playing with Phineas, that was the Phineas show with Phineas, and Great American Ghost. And then we played the next day with Fit for a King, like Miles to Flames, Currents. So talk about 2 shows.
Not bad.
Yeah,
Not bad.
back to back, like crap ton of ticket sales, a lot of work, but super stacked. Like the Fit for a King show sold out after Constellation. Well, when Constellations played, it was like they got the biggest crowd, of course, because they're amazing, and they also that EP is so good, by the way. Just saying, and like it sucks that it took a year, but it was real worth the wait, like for sure. Like just super solid. But like they're the hometown homies, they're hometown heroes, so of course they're gonna have the biggest crowd. But I worked that night, drove to Virginia Beach, which was 3 hours, practiced late, crashed for like a couple hours, picked up early, drove all the way to Richmond, played the show, which is cool, and then we get back home, and I had an emergency in the middle of the morning, like 6 o'clock in the morning. So everybody crashed at my house in Raleigh, had to go do that emergency, come back, and then pick up everything and go to, so like it was literally like very little like sleep. I had like a couple hours of sleep per day of those times. And then I had to drive, and then we were going to go see Gideon 2 days later at Drunk Horse that same weekend. So I had to work all day. So I had to go drop off somebody that Friday morning, then go to work, then came back, and then had another emergency, and then I had to come back, and then we went to the Gideon show. It was like really chaotic, and then I had to go take people home Sunday morning. So it was a lot of stuff like that. I'll tell you there's one better. When I was still kind of in my transition from Richmond, Virginia, I was in a band called House of Jacob, and we opened up for, it was like Moths, not like Moths, Nice Nine Kills headlining on the Every Trick of the Book Part 2 tour with Apply New, Dayseeker, and Capital Kings. So, me being dumb, Kevin Laciano was a super trooper on that one. So, I had to work early in the morning, and then we left. He got to my house like 9:20, whatever. I drove all the way to Virginia Beach. The venue was in Richmond, by the way. Picked up a girl I liked. And they drove all the way to Richmond.
No.
I will never do that again.
No.
But I really liked it. She's like, I have a ticket, but I can't go. My friend bailed. So her friend bought 2 tickets, and her friend couldn't do it. And she was like, she gave me both the tickets. And I was like, I want to come see you play, but I can't. I was like, low key crushing on you, but so Kevin's like, fuck it. I love you. So I drove 3 hours that way, 2 hours back up, played the show. We hung out late because we all lived with Pathos and House of Jacob. We all live like 3 hours apart at any given direction. We were never close, so when we would go to cookout or whatever. Then that night she wanted to go to a bar, so we went to Applebee's and had dinner and drinks, whatever. And then we drove all the way down to Virginia Beach, and then we drove all the way back home. And I think he had to go turn around and work at 8. I had to go turn around at 7, so I had like an hour's sleep. That was the dumbest thing I've done. It was so dumb.
Oh, I mean, I get it.
Yeah,
I get it.
I will never do that again.
No.
I will never do that again. Yeah, now I'll never do that again. And the worst part is she didn't even come see me play. Like, I get it. I get to the venue, and she's like, oh, I have a couple of friends met up with her at the venue, and they went off to get drinks. And they came back literally as we're getting off stage.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, so I did all that for you not to see me. Why? It was frustrating. But it was also a good thing because we bombed that night. It was so bad. That was... we could talk another hour about like horror stories of terrible venue like shows, setups, and stuff like that. Because that was like a nightmare.
That's a never-ending story.
That is a never-ending story, and that was a crazy night as it was. But big disappointment because I had some producer friends there and some people like watching us at that show. I was like, well, we just bombed every chance in the trash. Rip, big rip. So, but yeah, man, this has been fun, and like I said,
really?
So
You high fives. Bam. That's how you end it.
Yep, high
Right in the
fives.
podcast.
We should like high five.